But in the Latino community, I hear them speak about their experiences, always feeling like they're pressured to pick a side because of you got to be white or black. So it's like we're biracial, we're in the middle, and it's like we're not either. So it's not accepted. That's not a concept that's accepted in America at all, to just not be either. So you could just be nothing. I don't know. I'm just my own thing.
Are we gonna start pressuring Asian people and say, yo, you gotta pick a side, you either black or white?
You could be whatever you want to be in the world.
Right.
But it's like it's still weird. It's still a lot of pushback on people identifying as biracial for some reason. But it's like, but at the same time, people are always like, you can be whatever you want to be, express yourself however you want to, but not as biracial. It's weird.
Hold on real quick, because actually, Ben, you're wrong. When you look at this brother right here, this ugly, hairy-faced brother laying down, you could tell I'm Puerto Rican. You could tell. But I'm half white. So most people can't even figure out what the hell I am. I never said I was black.
You're not ugly. I think you're handsome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But like, you could clearly tell I'm not black. Like, why would I say I'm black when I'm not? Now, my kids are biracial. They're black, Puerto Rican, and white. Mm-hmm. Well, you know.
Look at the chat. They said you good looking. Okay, very handsome. Oh, y'all being nice tonight. Aw, all the love. You getting all the love. I love that. That's good. Y'all are being really nice tonight.
Why do people try to make biracial choose a side? Why do they try to make them choose to be black or white?
Exactly. It frustrates me. And it's like we're both and we're neither at the same time, right?
That's like trying to decide whether the color gray is black or white. That doesn't make sense.
That, you know how the analogy I always use is like, okay, when red and blue come together, they create a whole new color. It's like trying to make purple. You get fucking purple.
That's like trying to say, well, is purple a shade of red or a shade of blue? It's just fucking purple.
It don't make sense. You know, like me personally, I'm logical. I like to live in reality, and that's just the reality of it. People try to twist logic, and you know what I'm saying? Because if we do identify as black, there's a million people like, no, you're not black because of this reason, this reason. So it's like, I'm just accepting it. Like, I just want to accept it. I want my identity to be respected, and I'm just happy. Like, I feel happy and comfortable in my identity. I don't have no identity issues, like that stereotype that we're always confused. And
exactly, they want y'all to stay confused. That's why they want y'all to stay confused.
Exactly, because you know when you're confused, you're easy to control, and I feel like people bring that up a lot. How like historically in America, how like the mulatto population was controlled and used against the black population, and it's like I don't want to be used by nobody. I don't want to be used by no agendas. I don't want to be used by anybody. I just want to be myself and live my best life, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's all I want. And I just I want people to feel like just release the pressure of always feeling like, because that causes a lot of internal conflict within biracial people.
Somebody just said if you pour chocolate milk and regular milk, then you still get chocolate milk. Well, guess what, buddy? It's a good thing we're not milk.
Right?
Somebody just sat there and said Puerto Rican is not a race. Do you know why we call ourselves Puerto Ricans instead of actually like Taino? Because Taino, we're 13% Taino, Spaniard and Caucasian and everything else in that race, right? So we identify as Puerto Ricans. So for people to sit there and say Puerto Rican is not a race, you're actually erasing who I am. So thank you. Good job for saying that I am not Puerto Rican because it's not a race. Good job.
What? Somebody said, why do you feel the need for your race to be accepted? And y'all don't got to accept me. I don't care. I'm not begging for no acceptance.
Y'all know what the fuck he means when he say he's Puerto Rican. You know what the average Puerto Rican
y'all want to twist
Stop playing dumb.
But somebody said, why do you feel the need for your race to be accepted and respected? Bitch, I'm a damn man respect wherever I go. Like, if you ain't going to respect me, then I ain't going to be there. Like, I don't care about acceptance, really. I accept myself. Like, you don't have to accept me. I don't give a damn. I know how America is set up. I know where we live. I know what it is. So it's fine.
They say your mama must be white.
They always say that.
And what about it? What if her mama is white? Then what?
My mom's not white. My mom's black. So that's false.
Damn, and they wrong in the first place.
They wrong. Loud and wrong. IDK, why would be separate identity? Black unity is needed to fight. We all need to fight racism. I agree with that. Like, we all do. But, people, like, racism is a choice. Like, people are going to choose to be racist. And guess what? I don't even care if you don't like me. You don't like me, that's fine. I'm just here to connect with other biracial people and have a safe space for us. If you don't like me, you don't got to be here in this space. So,
Bro, nobody
you
cares if you
know?
like us. Like our job is not to make you like it. Like,
Exactly.
do you think we're like
Exactly.
a gesture at a circus to like
Yeah, we have
pleasure
to sit
you?
here and entertain you and sit here and perform for you so we could sit here and be clapped at. And no, I don't give a damn.
It ain't about you. Not everybody's gonna agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, biracial people are the majority. We're not lonesome, right?
No, we're not
Biracial is the
Muslim. It's a
majority.
myth. It's the Lonely Victims Club. No, no. Racism is
Yeah.
a system.
Okay, so what about if somebody's half
Exactly. Human
mixed, half
ego
black?
rises.
What are they just like? What about
I
that
still
though?
consider them
Somebody
mixed. Because you know
Yeah.
your mixed genes. Somebody said this to me. It's like genes don't expire like a loaf of bread. Like your genes are gonna be there. Like those
no.
mixed
Okay,
genes are
so
gonna
like with
be there.
Beyonce, her mom is mixed and her
I
dad's
consider
black.
her.
So you just pretty much say
I
Beyonce's
consider her
mixed, right?
mixed. Just
No.
like
Okay.
logic.
Now what
Logic
about her
mixed.
kids? What about when it gets to her kids like Blue Ivy?
I think they're black.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're black
Yeah.
once you get to that point.
When you get to that point, yeah, I think you're black.
I mean, they're just
Yeah.
black with mixed ancestry.
Biracial
Mm.
is like 50-50,
Ain't
right?
nobody.
That's the
What is
point of
this?
biracial.
Why
It's
why are people
50-50.
thinking we're claiming being a victim? All I said is we need to start arguing. We accept you for who you are and connect with. What's wrong with? How is that playing a victim? Explain to me.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's a
not.
good
That's
point. Biracial like 50-50 because bi means like
mm-hmm.
you know.
Two. Yeah.
These two. Yep. Yep. So why do you care if someone likes you again? Why do you demand respect? Because I demand respect from wherever the fuck I get respect from. I'm not gonna be disrespect. You think I'm gonna tolerate disrespect from people? From anybody? Do I feel no? Do you tolerate disrespect from people? I don't. I do not.
Bro, it's not even worth it, bro. Bro, it takes more energy for me to be quiet than it does for me to speak up and like say something.
Exactly. I'm gonna keep speaking up. There's no such thing as 50-50 biracial.
That's why I keep
It's
getting fired from
infinite.
jobs because I
I
just be letting
know.
them have it.
I swear.
Bro,
No,
I
I
don't
can
even
do the same
care.
thing. I'll
Like
quit a job if I feel like y'all trying me.
they can't
I'm like,
pay
bitch,
me
I ain't
enough,
gotta be
bro.
here.
They
It
can't
ain't
pay me
worth
enough
it.
to be quiet. As soon as I apply for another job and I get that acceptance email, I start cussing everybody out at my current job.
I know that's right. I do the same thing. Are you me? Are you me? Like I'm talking to myself right
Hey,
now.
you talking to the male version of you. That's what it is.
I'm talking to exactly. No one owes you anything. I owe myself something. I owe myself. I respect myself. So I ain't gonna allow nobody to disrespect me. I ain't gonna
Bro,
be in no space.
we
That's
not
why I created
saying
these
somebody
spaces.
owe us something. That's not what we saying.
Yeah, ain't nobody owe you
We
nothing. I
not
know
looking
that.
for nothing from you. You ain't even got nothing to give us. Like
Fact, he
what's the
got shit to
point?
give us.
And for the people in the comments that think they're so smart, can you please tell me how many races there is in the world?
Exactly.
They
There's
I
so
don't
want to
much.
know.
know in the comments.
Nobody has nothing
Because
good to
there's
say.
five
Everybody's
main
complaining in the
races, right?
comments.
There's five
Exactly.
main different ethnicities, five races, right? And I would like to hear what they have to say on that. Because they're saying that nobody can be truly 50-50. But if there's only five race in America, which is you have your Caucasians, right?
Hmm.
You have the blacks, you have the indigenous, right? And you have there's two other ones. I forget what the proper name for the Asians. Excuse me, yo, for not remembering that. But there's only five, right?
Hmm.
So if you mix with another race, that would be 50-50. Italian and Irish is white, right?
Hmm. That's what I am. I'm like 51% black and 49% white. So that's basically like 50-50. Like
It's
I'm
basically
split down.
50-50. You're biracial. You
Yeah.
have two different races in
Exactly.
you.
And then guess what? My husband's biracial,
Mm.
right? And then my kids are biracial. They're mixed too. Like they're all mixed up too. So we all mix. We live on the tubes. Oh, what's up, YouTube? We're on YouTube. I'm streaming this on YouTube, just to let y'all know too.
Nice.
Yep. So yeah, I'm gonna keep having these conversations because we don't really have to. Y'all see when you guys scroll through TikTok, how many spaces are there for biracial people?
But I never see shit like that.
Never see shit like that. So exactly, it's a needed thing, and I ain't gonna argue with people about if it's like people like to come on here and be like, "This is stupid. This is asinine. We don't need this." But I think it is needed. I think there is people that do benefit from it, and I'm not gonna ignore them for people who feel offended by it.
Oh,
Like I
did
don't
he just
care.
get suspended or he dropped?
Oh, I don't know what happened to him. Hold on, come back up here, Pickles. Where you at, Pickles? I remember there were race riots in high school. The full blacks would accept us. Oh, yeah, that's crazy. We appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. It's stupid. They could find another space. Yeah, I'm saying, like, why people want to come in here and try to say, oh, this is dumb. Y'all don't need a space. Y'all don't need a community. Y'all don't need nothing. But how do you know what we need? How are you? You're not living my life. You're not walking in my shoes. So how are you going to tell me what I need and what I don't need? You
oh, Sally Cubana, que hola, Sere.
People don't understand the difference between race and ethnicity, and that's what causes confusion. It shouldn't be debatable. Like, everyone deserves. Thank you. You understand. Everyone deserves a space for themselves. There's plenty of space. Like, the internet is expansive. Like, there's millions of freaking. We're on the internet. Like, come on now. Hey y'all. Yo, what's up, Latino? Come up here. Hey, that's my boy.
Gang. I like that. Light skin gang. I'm still in that. Yeah, I'm still in that.
That's my boy, Radical Latino. That's my boy right there. Yes. You know, imagine not accepting biracial people because they ain't black. That happens. It's true.
It does.
It's true. All right, I'll accept you, Regina, but you got to be respectful. We're in a biracial safe space, so I'll accept you. How you doing, Regina?
Hey, Bookie Butt, how you doing?
Hey, girl, what's going on?
Okay, so I have a couple of questions, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so first I heard you say something about full BLACKS. I just wanted to know, like, why did you dehumanize black people when you said that term? Because we are not black in mouths, we are not black in force ones, and it's very important that when you're speaking on any race, you follow it up with people. Like, you don't want to say black.
I did say black people. I always say black people.
But you didn't just say that. So that's the only reason I asked. But if it was just a, mistake, then, that's fine.
My bad. My bad.
Okay,
I would never dehumanize nobody.
Next question. On your page, I saw a video that says, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice is colorism.
Oh, let me see. Jay posted that. He said something about, I tried to explain that on my other live. Remember we were talking on my other live about how you got to look at it from our perspective, right? So if we're in a community, I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird thing because we live in a community, black community, right? Where it's like, I understand where it comes from. Like, I get it. If it's like biracial people are put on a pedestal, it's like you want to uplift your own. So it's like, if like I said, colorism affects us both negatively in either way.
So here's the thing. It's not biracial people being put on the pedestal. It's light-skinned people being put on the pedestal. Colorism can be found in any race. You can find it with Asians. You can find it with indigenous people, Pacific Islanders. Colorism is about who has a darker skin tone. And the thing about colorism is it ends in ism, speaking to it being a system of oppression. So I'm just a little bit confused about what systems oppress light-skinned people just for being light-skinned. Because I can lay out a lot of systems.
Look.
Hold on. Wait, let me finish. I can lay out a lot of systems for you that negatively impact darker-skinned people.
Look, this is not on topic, honestly. Like, I'm not even talking about systems of oppression. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about this is a biracial safe space. And, that's just a topic. Do you want to talk about that? Like, we're just talking about biracial people. We're just, like, I understand all of that. But, that's just not the place for it right now. It's not the time and place for it right now. Like, I'm not talking. I understand everything. Like, I get it, but, I just want to, have like a safe space for us to talk about things that affect us. Like, that's, like, I understand everything. So, all right. Anyways.
She literally just attacked you on your live about biracial.
I know. She always comes up here. See, this is why I didn't drop nobody. Anyways. Man.
See, we even get attacked in our own safe space. They go to system of oppression right there.
Exactly, man. I don't go in nobody else's safe space and be like, well, why do you say this? And why do you say, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's cool. We're used to it. I ain't worried about it. Yeah, you can come up. I didn't feel like I dropped her. Somebody dropped her. Somebody in the comments. But anyways, how you doing?
I I just simply came in here and asked a few questions, and I just like to point out the color where nowhere did I attack you, come for you, call you any names. I just asked you a
I didn't
question.
even feel
Wait,
like,
wait, I'm
look,
not talking
I don't
about
even
you. I'm
want to talk
talking
to
about the
you. I don't
person
have to
below
talk to
me.
you. I don't gotta talk to you. Honestly, I don't want to talk. I don't want to argue. I don't want to do that. Like, this is a safe space where I feel like, I just don't want to argue with people right now. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't want to argue. I don't have to if I don't want to. So anyways, okay, do you have any like other biracial people in your life that you like connect to, or do you feel like, because I feel like we're all scattered out everywhere. So
Oh yeah,
how do you feel about that?
I have a lot of biracial. Even my siblings. So I am Puerto Rican and white. My mother, who is white, was white. God bless her soul. She married a Jamaican after my father died. She married a Jamaican, and now I have a half Jamaican and brother and sister, which I think is awesome. But even them, they're not even accepted fully in a Jamaican family, right? Because they're biracial. So I watched this go on for the longest. Like so many biracial people I know who are not accepted on either side. You know what I mean? They look
Yeah.
at us like we're mutts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that's why we need our spaces where it's like you don't have to feel like that, or you don't have to feel like, you know what I'm saying, like you're like a mutt, like you said. Like that's freaking a horrible feeling. It's dehumanizing. Like we do get dehumanized a lot of the time, you know what I'm saying? So that's something that seriously affects us. And I did a live about, okay, so I got a YouTube channel and I did a live about it, like how sometimes we internalize anti-mixed race narratives, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're a mutt, you're abominant, you're all these things. And it could like lower our self-esteem and make us feel like shit about ourselves. So it's like, that's why we need these spaces so we could like uplift and, praise ourselves and love ourselves, like just like every other space does, like you're beautiful, amazing, and great the way you are, and not feel like you have to, like I said, perform or conform into somebody else's idea of what you should be and how you should act. You know what I'm saying? You could just really be yourself. So everybody deserves a space where they could just be themselves. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that's true.
no, we're not supposed to connect with only other biracial people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we just are having a space where we can connect. So what's your YouTube? My YouTube is, I changed the name of it. So I was going by, I'll put the YouTube link. Hold on. The YouTube link's in the bio though, if you want to check out my YouTube. But yeah, I don't know. I've been doing this for a minute now. It feels really good because, I'm 29 years old and we never had spaces like this growing up. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just never there. Like, it was never an option at all. So it's like you don't know what you don't, it's like you never miss what you never had. So when I didn't have it, it was just like, you just got to go through life. But once I found it, it's like, yo, how did I go all this time without this? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did I go all this time without that, So it's just crazy. Oh, thank you for the roses. I was told on IG
Thank
only
you.
dogs and mutts, bruh. That's crazy. Oh, what'd you say?
And my homegirl, I was telling everybody thank you for the gifts as well too. And that Ratchy Pooh, she's cool as fuck. You should follow her. She cool as hell. But yeah, she's really cool. I just left Covington today, actually.
I'll
She's
follow
in
her. What's her name? What's her
Ratchy
name?
Pooh.
Let me see. Where you at, Ratchipoo? I'm gonna follow you. And I got a Discord, everybody. If anybody want to join the Discord, my Discord is so fun. It's fun. Okay, if I got a Discord. If anybody want to go in there too, I will. Yep. But like I said, the whole point is it's just to normalize these types of things. I feel like it's needed. Like, a lot of people they never seen it, so it's like they don't know that they need it. I think it's a need. It's very much a need. Like, it's not a want. It's not something that it's like, oh, this is for fun. It's a need. It's just to promote our own mental health. Because what's crazy to me? So, how people are always trying to throw in our face, oh, you have issues, you guys are messed up, you guys are crazy, all these stereotypes against us. But when we try to speak on our issues, it's like, what issues? You don't have any issues. Like, you don't, you know what I'm saying? Isn't that weird? That junk's crazy to me.
It's very weird.
I'm genuinely grateful for y'all created this space. I thought it was alone. I'm grateful for you to be here. I appreciate you. 90% of my family is half black and half white. Nice. 90% of my family is half black and half white. Yup. Dismissed and invalidated. Exactly. But I'm gonna follow you. Oh called? Let me see where you. I'm gonna follow you. You know, if anybody else want to come up here and talk about this is a safe space. We're not debating. We're not arguing. I'm not doing all that. I'm just not. I don't feel like it. I don't have the energy for it.
I might get
I want it to
suspended
be
for saying
positive.
this though.
I'm trying to keep it really positive and happy. Like I just want it to be happy and positive.
I must say though, right? Like biracial kids, right, are the best looking kids. I know I'm gonna get suspended for saying that because it's discrimination, but we as biracial, we make pretty ass kids, beautiful kids. Whether it's black and white, white and black, white and Spanish, whatever the case may be, biracial is where it's at. You know what I mean?
I know, and we're beautiful, and we deserve to like praise and love ourselves because I think a lot of us have like biracial guilt. You know, like white guilt. We got like biracial guilt when it comes to like we don't feel like we have any right to like praise or love ourselves because it's like, oh, but it's like we gotta get rid of that. We gotta get rid of biracial guilt and just love yourself unapologetically, and that's it. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And Nola, white and Spanish, when we say Spanish, it covers all Spanish people, right? So Puerto Ricans, we're indigenous, right? Mixed with Spaniard, right? So before you try to like correct what I'm saying, in Spanish, you know, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but Latinos, like, you can't look at a Puerto Rican and be like, oh, you white, because he's not white. He's Puerto Rican. He's from the indigenous bloodline. So, you know,
Exactly.
educate yourself.
Exactly. Hey, Mouse.
Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
girl. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing so good. I'm so glad to see you live. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Oh my God, guys, I'm doing a live tomorrow on my YouTube channel. It's gonna be called Biracial Politics. So there's like a lot of politicking that goes into our identity. So it's like we're gonna unpack that and stuff like that. So it's gonna be very interesting. I would love for you guys to be there because I got a YouTube. I think it's gonna be. Are you on the East Coast?
I am I'm in the Midwest, so I'm
You're in the
central.
Midwest. So it's, I'm on the West Coast. So it's gonna be like 4 my time, 7 p.m. East Coast time. So I don't know what that would be. That'd be like what, 4, like 5 or 6 your
Five.
time?
Yeah. Okay, so I definitely want to catch that. I definitely want to hear that for sure.
Exactly.
That's awesome. They're saying I'm uneducated about my own ethnicity. So please tell me, what was on the island of Puerto Rico before the Spaniards actually showed up? So since I'm so uneducated, what was the original people? What was that called in Puerto Rico?
You really don't know my ethnicity. Y'all ain't gotta argue, man. We're supposed to be in here chilling, just connecting, having fun, just bring a positive vibe. Man, y'all need to bring the positive vibe in here. Y'all, we look, somebody said, I appreciate the courage it took to do this, all the hate targeted with mixed race people. Exactly, but it's like, I don't know. I think I want us to have a positive space. Like we deserve like a healthy, positive space where we don't feel like we're always being attacked. So it's like, just block people, just block them. If they're gonna sit here and try to attack you and attack your identity, say you're uneducated and stupid and dumb or something, like this is not the space for you. Okay, this is not the space for you. Like we get that enough. We already get that enough. We don't need people in our space trying to attack us and demine us and say all these crazy things. Like, no, like it's not the space for you.
You know,
Not everything's for everybody, and that's fine.
Don't be biracial phobic, okay? That's gonna be the new term.
That is a good term. Oh my God, yes.
yeah,
Yes.
biracial people are not a monolith. So we are all different. We are all different. We have all different experiences. And I think that our experience is super unique because I have the experience of, and a lot of people will not understand this, but I can say that I understand and I can live the life, understanding the both side of the white perspective and the black perspective as I navigate through my life as a brown person. And we are not all the same. We are not all the same. We have lived our lives completely differently. We have had different challenges that I cannot even put into words, that you would not even, that by other people that are not biracial would even be able to comprehend.
Exactly.
It is unique and exquisite. And the interesting thing about being biracial is that I find that people say to me, why do you feel like you constantly have to be validated? Because I feel like I am feeling like that throughout my life, even at my ripe old age of 51. And I say that it's not that I necessarily need to be validated, but in actuality, I sort of do, because if I don't get validated, then what I say bears no weight in when I'm trying to speak my experience. So if I'm not validated, then you think what I'm talking about is I'm blowing smoke up your ass, basically. And it's really frustrating. It's so damn frustrating.
It is frustrating. And it's like, to the point about us not being a monolith, like we need to stop, because this is what happens. This is how anti-mixed race hatred, you have one experience with one biracial person and you paint a whole picture, and they're all like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, I don't like any of them because I had this bad experience with this one person. You know what I'm saying? That's how all racism begins. And a lot of the time it's like, oh, I had this. So it's like, we need to stop painting a broad picture with, if you have one bad experience with somebody, you know what I'm saying? So that, and then on top of that, the validation point, we need to validate each other, because like I said, we get invalidated by both sides. We got to stop looking for validation in the wrong places. We got to look for validation in the right places, coming from the right, in the right spaces, and stop looking for people who don't want to validate us, who don't want to, and they're not going to. And we can't keep trying to force validation from people who just choose not to. You know what I'm saying? That's why we have these spaces, so we can validate with ourselves and validate each other, and within ourselves. Like that self-validation is so super important too. But we do need a community. That's like, we're social creatures, we're social animals that need that sense of like tribe and a sense of community. So it's like, that's important too. So we can't ignore that aspect of it. And yeah, that's why I created these spaces. We can validate each other. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to dismiss you, I'm not going to dismiss your experiences, So yeah. Let's start some biracial owned business. Hey, there is some biracial owned businesses that I do support. I'm an ambassador for this brand. It's called, look it up, the Mosaic, the label. She's really cool. She's from New York, and she started a brand because she's a biracial woman, and she didn't see any like representation in like clothing and stuff for us. So she started her own like brand. And yeah, I got a code and everything. I got a discount code on it. We're already there. We already have biracial owned brands that are being formed and that are catering to us, and it's already happening. It's already, so look them up. Mosaic, the label. I want to do a live one day. You know how like they do products on TikTok and stuff? I want to do a live one day and like show off her products and stuff, because they're really cool and they're like for us, and they're meant to like empower us, and so.
Hey, I just got a hell of an idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't we start a store to cancel out Walmart and call it Biracial Mart, right? And have all the models who model our stuff that's biracial. We will only hire biracial
That'd be
people
lit, bro.
to model our clothes. Look at that, Biracial Mart.
Hold on, Naya's a biracial. Shout out to Naya. Hold on, I want to try to promote her too. I'm using this platform to promote biracial owned businesses. So let me know if you're a biracial owned businesses, so I could like give you a shout out, and we're going to support you and promote you. And so we can have visibility, because there's not too much visibility on biracial owned business owners or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I do think we should support them, so.
We should come up with our own biracial flag too.
Oh yeah, we should. I had a dream about that one time. I had a dream. It was like colorful, because we come in so many different colors. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You know what? Can I say something about that? Because I make t-shirts, and I follow a creator. Oh, shit, I can't think of her name right now, but she is a biracial business owner, a woman who has a clothing line. And I think it's called. Her clothing line, I think it's called Yes, I'm Black.
I know what you're talking about. Is that the Laura Silver?
I like that.
I can't think of what it is, but I was thinking about making a T-shirt that had something that navigated like something that was something for biracial people, and I felt myself. Here's the thing, though. I felt myself being apprehensive, and like I felt like I shouldn't. I felt like I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it because here's the thing: am on when I go into a lot of different rooms, and I go into a lot of different spaces on TikTok, and I am met with a lot of different reactions when I go into different rooms, whether I say something or I don't, and a lot of positivity and sometimes a lot of negativity, just judging me. And when I say something about me being biracial, I am met most often by with with negativity by people. And I did not ask to, I'm just going to say, I don't want to bring this room down, but I did not ask to be here. I did not ask to be here. I am a product of something that was not planned. I am not a planned product. I am so I did not I did not ask to be here, and I find that a lot of Black spaces, when they are talking with white women that are raising biracial children, they give them grace in trying to help them raise their biracial children. But when it comes to biracial people, biracial women, like myself, they are not accepting and angry at me for something, for being here when I did not choose to be here. I did not ask to be here. I am who I am. I cannot help that, but I also cannot be proud of who I am for whatever reason. I cannot deny the fact that my skin is brown. I cannot deny the fact that I have the hair of a Caucasian person, but my skin is brown. I do not have the features of your basic Caucasian person. I have my features are different. I cannot help that. That is not my fault. But yet I'm met with resistance for I don't know whatever reason. And so when I was thinking about making this shirt, I thought to myself, I felt like bad about it, like I shouldn't do this. And
That's the
it's really,
biracial guilt. Yep.
and I hate it. I hate it so much.
You
And
gotta
I
let
hate
it
it so
go.
much.
You gotta let it go. I wanted to talk about that because that's what I said. That was the whole point of how colorism affects everybody negatively, because it makes us feel like, oh, we can't praise ourselves or love ourselves, or that's colorism. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we gotta let that go. You deserve to feel loved and feel like you can love yourself and praise yourself and uplift who you are. Like, you have every right to do that. That's not taken away from nobody, okay? It's not. Like, that's the reality. Like, it's not taken away from anybody. And we need to really understand that. Like, I want those shirts. Like, those shirts that you're talking about, that's gonna help somebody. You know what I'm saying? That looks like you, that has the same experience, that relates to you. Like, it's gonna help somebody. So it's like, we gotta think about, we are a community, that we want to serve each other in our community as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and we're not taking away from anybody. We're not. So what you're doing is not hurting nobody. It's not like we feel.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, I know it's not hurting anybody, and I feel like it would make me feel. I mean, I know that what it would do for myself, and I can only imagine what it would do for somebody else. So I hate that.
Yeah.
If I could just address a comment, Country Nikki asked how I handle when people argue about what I am. Honestly, Nikki, I have a tendency to almost shut down. I don't handle it well because it just is really, it's really hurtful. I've been tortured my whole life about how I look, and people have been, have been nasty to me for looking different than my family my whole life. And when people tell me that I'm something that I'm not, or they give me a hard time about it, I unfortunately, I try to, it's really hard to defend yourself when people tear you down, and it's hard to defend yourself without explaining your life, and then without going into too much, and then you don't want to it's like, how much do you tell people, and why do you feel like you have to tell people so much? Again, it goes back to, feeling validated by people. It's like if just somebody would be like, yeah, okay, cool, you are, then you'd be okay with that. But it's really exhausting because you can't even, you feel like you can't even talk about certain things. You can't even talk about your experiences you've had with, people being, people being racist towards you because they're like, well, no, that's never happened to you. It's like, okay, okay, I guess they haven't. All right. Sure.
Exactly.
Hey,
It's anti-mixed race hatred.
I'm fixing to jump down. I got to get me some sleep
Thank you
because I got
so
me a
much.
couple hours. But y'all have a
Have a
good night.
wonderful
Thank y'all. God bless. Thank you, host, for
Thank you.
letting me up.
Yep. And Miles, your experiences are so important. Like, thank you for coming here and sharing your experience. It takes bravery. And I really appreciate you. Like, we need to hear that. Like, we need to hear our stories and what our experience are. And we need a space to do that. So I'm just grateful for you. But yeah, I want to hear from, hi, Mixed. What's your name? Oh, he left too. Oh, come back. I'm by myself. Oh, okay. But yeah, Mouse, like, I really appreciate you. But because I understand and relate to you. It's like we're silenced a lot of the time, and that we internalize that. Like I in my lifetime, I've internalized that. Like, I should be small. Like, I don't want to take up space. I don't want to do anything. I just want to remain invisible, and just so I'm not offending nobody for being who I am. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we got to get rid of that. We got to unlearn that,
Yeah.
We got to unlearn. There's a lot of things we have to unlearn so we could just be healthy and just be who we are. So,
Yeah, I appreciate you, and I appreciate this room, because I can't tell you, when I see you live, I get I get such a sense of relief, because I just feel like, like, I know that if I come here, I can, think and speak, freely, and you are not going to, you get it and you understand, and I'm not going to be, it's just,
dismissed or invalidated.
dismissed. Yeah,
Yeah,
dismissed,
it feels
really.
like a sense of relief. Exactly. It's a sense
Yeah,
of relief. It's a sense of
it is a sense of,
safety,
yes.
So,
Yeah. I've been seeing I've been seeing, your page on lives. What is going on?
I don't know. I guess I'm ruffling some feathers, but I'm ruffling some feathers, but I don't know what they're talking about because I don't watch none of them.
I
So
don't
it's
like how,
fine. People can be mad.
but I don't understand, because it's like there are other biracial people with talking about it. I don't understand why, like, but I've
fine.
literally been told, I don't understand. No, I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to say this. Like, I've had Black women say to me, like, we don't like you. So if you don't like
Did
me,
you
where
post
do you want
that?
me to go? If you don't
Did you
like
see
me,
that video I posted? I was like, it's racism. It's racist to just dislike people just for no reason, like for no reason,
I don't
and just.
understand. I don't understand why if you don't like me, where do you want me to go? Because I cannot fit in, I do not associate, and I cannot fit in the white box. I'm sorry. I cannot. You cannot
That's why we
force
need
me
our own
there.
box.
It's just so frustrating. And I cannot fit wholly in a Black box, because I have not lived the whole Black experience. I cannot not live the white experience. I have lived the brown experience. I don't know how to explain that to somebody.
Right.
I don't know how to explain that to somebody, and no one wants to hear what I have to say. They don't want to listen. I don't know why. It's so frustrating. I can't tell you how many times I have bawled my eyes out on this because of this. And I'm 51. I have 51 years old. And I'm like felt like shit by people that are half my age, people that have like mocked the shit out of me and told me that I am,
No, I understand. I'm completely relating to you. And yes, this is your space. This is where you go right here. We create spaces for ourselves, and that's where we're supposed to go and create little communities and stuff for ourselves, so we can feel safe, so we can feel validated, so we can feel accepted, so we could feel heard, seen, felt, heard, and understood. Like those are the four things that we need, that humans need. Those are emotional needs that we need to be met. So I see you, I feel you, I hear you, and I understand you. Like those are what we need to tell that to each other. We need to make sure we're meeting each other's needs here, so we could be healthy and happy and whole. And we got to do it for ourselves. We got to do it for each other too. So yeah, we're here for each other. Exactly. And that's the whole point. And I love you. I don't know. I love you. Okay. I love you. And you know,
I love you too. I think you're amazing. You're
Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. How you doing, Mixed? I'm going to talk to Mixed.
Hey, how you guys doing?
How's it going?
Good.
What you think about
No, I was just I was just listening to what the last guest said, dude, and it's insane because you just don't fit in, and for me, I can't, and I've never fit in to the white box, and growing up in the Mexican culture and just embracing the culture, the tradition, the food, and that's the way we were raised because my father essentially is from Jalisco and my mother's a white woman from California. And, sometimes it's your own people who seem to be the hardest on you. You're not Mexican enough. And even at times, given I'm fair complected but even on the white side, sometimes in my mom's family, just the resistance there, it's just, it's such a struggle when you're biracial to fit in and to find yourself. And to not only that, though, to have that acceptance from your people, your peers, you have this sense of always trying to figure out where you belong, because when you feel you belong in one place, the resistance you get sometimes from your own people almost makes you feel invalidated, and so it's always, I guess, refreshing in a sense to see spaces like this that are open up for people like us who fall into essentially that demographic. That gray, it's that gray area, man, and it just essentially it sucks, man. It sucks because you feel like you identify as one thing and you feel it with your heart, and that's the way you were raised, by your father or whatever the case is. But just predicated, your skin isn't dark enough. You don't speak Spanish fluently enough. You get all this resistance from people, and it just makes it that much harder. And for me, I'm on this big journey right now where, I'm really trying to reconnect, not just to my people, but to see, my lineage, my tribes, where they go back into Mexico, and trace all these things back and really just reconnect. It's, if anything, I guess it was a hidden blessing because it's pushed me that much further to kind of to say, okay, this is who I am, but who am I really? Who are my people? Well, who are my ancestors? What are the traditions within the country? And
I love that so much. That's why I kind of identify, like, knowing your ancestry. It's so important to me. Knowing your history, knowing who you are, knowing where you come from, like that is so important to me. That's a big part of what makes up who we are today, right? So I think that's very important for biracial people to understand, like, our ancestry, and also understand the history of biracial people, because they existed too. So understand the history, like that's something that's not talked about at all, like biracial history. Like there's a history there. People have been mixing since forever. So there's been new people being created, and they have a history. They have their own communities. We're erased from history too much. So it's like, I know I want to understand both sides of my history, but I also want to understand what were people like me doing, like biracial people, how are they navigating through the world? And once I learned the history, especially here in America, it made me so grateful to be to be in the time period that I'm in, because biracial people had it really rough. Back in the day, Like they have a really bad history of like being sterilized and being brutalized and being all these things. And it's like, man, we still have a long way to go. But it's like, wow, you know, at least, you know, we have it a little better than we did and I want to respect my ancestors. Yep. That we got erased from history a lot of the time. It's always like, we're all connected. You know how I think of it? Because people like to think race is like little boxes, like you're black, white, Asian, like Native.
Yep,
But it's like
yep.
mostly race is like a spectrum. Like there's the in between people like us. Like there's the in between. Like every race has like the in betweens. Like it's like a spectrum. It's like a, you know what I'm saying? So if you look at race, like there's black, and then there's like the Euro-African people that are in the middle, and then there's white, and then like there's Asian people, and then there's full Asian people, and it's like a spectrum that is like that. I think that's a better way to look at race, because like we'll be included in that instead of like little boxes. It's like, oh, this or that, and it's like hard defined lines. Like we're in between those defined lines. Like there's no defined lines between where it starts and where it ends, because you know it's like a spectrum. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. You know, I would like to say that, you know, as I was growing up, we didn't, obviously, as I'm in my 50s, things were done on paper. And so when we when we were asked about how we identified, I had a white mother, and my biological father was not in the picture. And I was being raised in a white family under the ruse that her white husband was my biological father. So when I was faced with the conscious, like when I was, faced with these papers, and I was old enough to understand what the difference between the white, black, I was very confused between them, because I always saw myself as brown, and I didn't really understand what those two things were. And I think that something that is not talked about as an adult, a biracial adult person, is that there are some of us that were raised by people, moms, that did not allow us to embrace who we were. And so, we were not encouraged. And I basically blindly navigated through life as a brown person. I was, basically denied who the ability to say that I am biracial. I unfortunately had words used like, mutt and, things like that when it came to me. And then now in current time, when you are met with resistance by people, and you have grown up your whole time with, a mother that basically wanted you to suppress who you are, which kind of makes me wonder how I got here in the first place. That's really hard. That really stifles you wanting to be proud of who you are, which kind of goes back to what I was trying to say in the first place. Like, do I deserve to wear a shirt that says I'm biracial? Do I deserve to wear a shirt that says I'm brown? Do I deserve to be proud of who I am? Because I feel that subconscious fucked up mentality of something that has happened to me throughout my whole life, of being, called names, having my mom negate who I am, not tell me who I am, just being blindly going through life as this oddity, looking different than everybody else, being told maybe I'm adopted, I don't know. And then being met with resistance by people that are darker than me, that don't like me, that tell me they don't like me. It's like, what am I supposed to do?
It's so hard. Like I said, we have to unlearn. Like, it is perfectly fine to be biracial. It's perfectly accepted. It's perfectly an amazing thing. And it's like, we have to undo the internalized anti-mixed race racism that we've dealt with. Like, you had to suppress who you are. Like, you shouldn't have to suppress nothing about you. You should have fully every right to express everything about yourself.
Here's
Right?
the
And
thing,
just
no, but I'm sorry. I just have a question though. Like, how do you, like, it is always, I don't know. I'm sorry.
no,
It's
you're
just,
good. You're good. We're here to
Hey
support you.
guys,
Hi.
hi.
this is Saley.
Hi, Keely.
I wanted to share. Hold on. Caught me at a brave moment where I want to be able to share something with you guys that is actually very personal. But thank you for allowing me to feel safe in a biracially safe space.
Of course.
I'm gonna share something with you guys that I hope some of you guys that keep saying to us that are biracial, that are mixed races, that, you know, that the white part of us that gives us proximity to whiteness does something for us, because I hear that and I check on my life experiences, and I have to say, you know, the privilege that my fair skin buys me is only until I open my mouth. And not just that, but for example, what I was going to share was, or what I want to share is that, and this is something I really haven't even ever shared before, but it's something that, especially not in a public setting at least. When I was 15, I had a situation, a girly situation, a very female situation, where I started hemorrhaging. I was 15, just made 15, and was brought into the hospital by my mother, who is white, with her, I mean, she's Cuban, but she's white. She's of Spanish descent. And she brought me in, and they took me into the hospital, and they checked me. And a little while later, my father and his side of the family shows up. And that's my African, my black side of the family. When they realized that the white girl on the table was black, my experience changed. They sterilized me that day on that table.
Are you
They
serious?
sterilized me. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have absolutely no reason to waste anybody's time to share something like this on a public setting.
Oh my God.
Oh my God,
At
I'm gonna
15
cry.
years
I'm
old, I
crying
was a
with you.
minor. They no longer let my mom in the room. They wouldn't let anybody in the room with me. They did a DNC. For those of you that don't know what a DNC is, it's an abortion when there's no baby. But they wouldn't tell me anything. They wouldn't say anything that was happening to me. They just spread me open and scraped me out. When that doctor, whose face I will never forget, walked out of the room, I was told that he looked at my aunt, who's a black woman, and then looked at my father and said, "She will never have children," and walked away.
My
I didn't
God.
know. I'm on this table, right? I get admitted into the hospital. It's 1990. It's the height of the AIDS epidemic, and they want to give me blood. And I don't know how much of this I can continue, so I'm going to make a long story short. I was 15 and that was 1990, and they sterilized me. I was never able to have children. Today, in 2023, I am currently undergoing stage 3 endometrial cancer treatment because of, it's always been a problem in the girly part since that point forward, and even till now. When you when you're told you have your proximity to whiteness gives me some kind of privilege. But when I know that I'm navigating this medical system, and not by everyone, and not always, but definitely in the in the scenario that I just shared with you guys, the minute some medical providers see that you are black, you are treated differently, and a black woman is very differently, and that's why black women have such high mortality rates. And especially navigating through the medical system. So, we're still sterilized and treated just as badly. When people that are evil and are hateful want to hate you, they're going to find a reason. If it's not because you're black, it's because you're white. If it's not because and it doesn't matter, they'll just find a reason to hate. And just my point is I don't think that fair-skinned or white presenting or light-skinned biracials doesn't say that we don't have a privilege, but really our privilege is very small and very limited, and we are not spared some of the worst atrocities.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being brave and being vulnerable and sharing your story. It's so important, and I'm crying with you. Like I absolutely feel
Well, the reason
you.
I felt like I had to share it is because it's just like you had the courage to create a safe space for biracials, and for some reason we aren't white enough, we aren't black enough, we're just not enough. And it would be nice to have a space to be able to not have those standards put on you, but at the same time, it's like I don't want anybody to think that because you are biracial and you have white or black or Asian or whatever else, Taino, indigenous, whatever else you may have, that it spares you from the mistreatment that people that have a hateful heart give. They will still, those women still need advocacy medically and support, and we need to stand by each other and support each other, and not assume that because that your proximity to whiteness or your fair skin will save you from any of the atrocities that they've done to us. Medical trials in Puerto Rico, medical trials, advancements on gynecology on black women with no type of anesthetic, the things that they've done to women and women of color in the medical field is serious. And, we have to stop with the little nitpicking, petty fights about if you're black enough or white enough or whatever you are enough. But as human beings, remember that the main race is the human race. And there was a time where there was people out there who drafted the Constitution who saw themselves as pilgrims, and that they saw people, black people, like they were not human. They were not considered human. And we are human. We're all human. And it's those people that are really the enemy. It's those people that are sadistic and disgusting and really aren't part of the human race.
Absolutely. We have to fight against that. We have to fight against dehumanization because we all are humans. We all deserve to be respected as human beings at the end of the day. And we have to fight against these injustices that happen. Like, this is a severe injustice that needs to be held accountable. I don't care. Like, all this shit that has happened, somebody needs to be held accountable for it. People just can't keep getting away with this stuff, or it's going to continue to happen. That's why we got to be loud about what's going on. Yeah,
it continues to happen, and women are not safe, no. In medical settings. We're not. We're still not.
Exactly. And we got to start speaking, start being, this is who we are, and we deserve, we're human beings just like everybody else. We deserve to be treated like human beings like everybody else. And we got to be loud about it and be like, this is an injustice. This is not right. This has to be fixed, and we demand it to be fixed. So this could stop. These things need to stop. Absolutely fucking needs to stop. And I'm so grateful for you. You just put a fire in my belly right now that it needs to stop.
I'm glad because really, look, it's late. It was like a coincidence that I'm out. Like, I was just listening to the lives, and I love the lives. But it's so hard now to find any with like a good topic. Everybody copies everybody else's topics. And everybody's hating on everybody else. And it's like, it was nice to see a space where it was about creating a safe space. Had it even been something that didn't apply to me, I still would have, applauded it because it was a safe space created for a group of people. But the fact that it applied to me on top of it was like the cherry on top. And and I have heard about your live and other lives where people are talking down on it or whatever, and talking about her and she, and I guess they're talking about you. I don't know who you are, but at the same time, I feel like I honestly felt it necessary to share, because I felt like, guys, don't think that we're still not in danger, because then we have a bunch of sisters out there that are we just gonna leave in danger? Like, then, okay, because colorism, we don't want to talk about, they were saying we shouldn't even have the right to talk about colorism, because colorism is specifically like towards dark-skinned women. Okay, or I mean, not women, dark-skinned people. Colorism is supposed to be the discrimination of the light-skinned black person towards the dark-skinned black person, right? But then there's like a piece missing of the light-skinned people that are still not viewed white enough by the white tea community for, or dark enough for the black community. And it's like those people still need safe spaces and to be protected and loved and acknowledged and everything else, like everybody else. We're all human here. Do you know that race makes up 0.001% of who we are as human beings? We are more alike than we are different.
Amen. Absolutely.
And once you mix us, you get the best of, sometimes not, but usually the best of both sides. How beautiful is that? I love that. Oh, those Blasian babies. Oh, they're so beautiful.
They're beautiful.
All of the different, because we're not talking about just black and white. And I'll tell y'all this from a Cuban standpoint. The United States of America. The United States is the only country that I see that is focused on the binary racially.
Yep.
Meaning
Yep.
you're either black or you're white here. That's it. And even everybody else is confused. All the Hispanics are like, depending on the shade of your skin, they'll take you for a number or they'll throw you away to the other side, depending on what's convenient for them.
Yep. Exactly. And we don't fit into that racial binary system at all. Like,
right. I feel like we're weaponized and used to however the numbers work in their favor. You know what I mean? So, for example, when you look at the census and that white people are the majority, okay, I'm a person that on my voter registration card in the government, when they considered me white, but really I'm not. So is that a number for them or not?
It doesn't make sense. They force a lot of Latino people into the white category. They don't give them an option.
No,
but I agree with
us. They've convinced us, no, deeper than that. They have psychologically convinced a bunch of people that they're white when they're not.
Exactly. And it's an injustice. It's erasure. It's erasure of people's identity.
It's erasure, absolutely.
It's erasure. And I like what Omni says. I'm gonna shout her out. It says we need to power ourselves through our ethnicity. Race is a tool of oppression. I agree with that. I'm like,
I agree.
Thank you. I agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I agree with that too.
These conversations that we're having are conversations that we would have never been able to have anywhere else, because everywhere else, whether it's Eurocentric or Afrocentric, it's monocentric. And when you're bi and tri, because really Cubans identify, all of us, we all identify with one identity, one race, which is race. Cuban is a race in itself because we identify with the African, the Taino, and the European. And the Asian. There's Asian in there too. There's a small percentage, but there is Asian. And we identify with those races, and we all consider that we're all mixed, just in varying degrees, but the degrees don't matter.
Exactly. And we're trying to get there as America. We have a long way to go.
America, you have to be either white, which nobody's just white, or you have to be black, and nobody's just black, or you're biracial and you don't fit in anywhere. Nobody wants you. If you have a white mom, even worse.
Yeah.
Now we really don't want you.
Yeah. Okay, love you. Yeah. If the abdomen
And we don't want you if we're black or we're white, because if we're white and you had babies with a black man, we don't want you. And if you white and had babies with a black man, we don't want you.
Yep. In America, our
I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No.
No, you're not wrong. And it's so we're just figuring out how to navigate this. Like, how do we?
Well, this is what we do. We get somebody with the balls to open up a safe space so that somebody else with balls has the courage to share her experiences and so on and so forth. And one step at a time.
That's how we do it.
This is crazy, though. Why should we have? That's crazy what you just said.
Umi says ethnically I'm Yoruba and Simri. So are you Cuban? Does Umi have enough followers to come up?
Umi,
Hey,
let me see
Ramon.
if you can come up.
Ramon Velos.
She's almost there. She's almost there. She has 680.
Oh,
She's
hold
almost.
on.
No,
Let
she
me
has
follow her.
214. Dang it, Umi. I hate this 1,000 freaking follower rule. I hate it with a passion. I hate it.
Well, I mean, I'm glad because then I guess everybody would be on freaking live. Everybody is already on live.
I'll follow her.
True.
Hey, Ramon.
Umi, you should
Hey,
come on
love,
my
how are
YouTube
you?
page. Hey, Ramon, how's it going?
It's going good. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I took the day off. Pretty chill.
That's good. We were just talking about like medical injustices and stuff like that. I think you missed out on that conversation, but Daly had a very vulnerable moment, and it was very beautiful and very like a tender moment. And it was just like she opened up about, we're trying to spread. I want us to spread awareness about like medical injustices and stuff that happens within our community and to us. So
Definitely. I mean, I don't want you to relive the trauma, but bring me up to speed a little if you don't mind.
Well, the short version of the story is that I shared a story of when I was 15. I had to be rushed to the hospital because I was hemorrhaging. I was hemorrhaging like girls do sometimes when they bleed, and I was sterilized on that table. They didn't see termination on me like they did an abortion on me, and the doctor said I would never have kids, and I didn't. And it was from the moment the way that I was treated changed from the moment. My mom's white, and she was the one that brought me into the hospital. When my dad made it with his family, and my aunts and my cousins are all black, which is who my family is, who I wanted there. The treatment for me changed. And so it's like when we're talking about biracial spaces, we're talking about the fact that you may have light skin or you may have a little white in you. It's not going to buy you much privilege. On the contrary, it's probably going to gain you hate from both sides.
Yep. And I think a lot of them don't understand that because a lot of Black people with darker skin experience so much hatred and anti-Blackness that they really don't see how it's hard on our end.
Exactly.
Like they really
and
think
how it
that
can hurt. And
yeah.
how it hurts when we love them so much.
exactly.
The love for them is what hurts. It breaks. It, like when you get hatred back. Because I'm definitely, I don't know, I couldn't, because I'm definitely pro-Black. Definitely pro, pro-Black family. In everything that I do, I always like to have a Black woman at the table. I'm Cuban. Our deities and our angels are all, our Virgin Mary is a Black woman with a baby in her hand. And then there's 3 men in a boat. Sometimes it's 2 Black ones and a white one. Sometimes it's 2 white ones and a Black one. But she is always a Black woman with a baby in her hands. And so when we come to America, we take that same Black woman and we demonize her. Here she's a demon.
Mm-hmm.
And over
What?
Yep.
there she's divine.
Mm-hmm.
Over there she's who we pray to. She's who we ask. She's who we take care of.
Yep.
She's the mother. We're matrilineal. We're matriarchal. We do things, and that doesn't mean, and the men are still very much involved and very, very much masculine.
Mm. And see, that's just wild how people really believe that being a few shades lighter is suddenly going to make your whole life easier, because it really doesn't. I actually got robbed today. I let my
Oh, I'm so
godmother
sorry to
stay,
hear that.
and she robbed me.
Your
Wait, what
But
did they take
godmother?
from you? What did they take from you?
well, she took my house keys. She took some of she took some weird shit. Like she took some laundry. She stole soap. Um, and then
That's
she
weird.
left. I woke up with
It
stuff
sounds like
on.
brujeria. It sounds like she's trying to do some kind of, what you have to do is start
Yeah,
transmuting, start consciously transmuting all energy that comes to you for good. Transmute it. Anything
Amen.
that's set your
Amen.
way for good, because the things that sounds like she's collecting are for no good. They're not. That wasn't a
Yeah.
theft.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. She just ran out. She's in the hospital now, but for me, it's like, dang. And her words were like some shit like, "Oh, like you have privilege, da da da." So I'm just kind of like, "Oh, okay." Like the more I look around the world today, the more I feel like we do need a community, because
Yeah.
it's just
Yes,
getting out of control. Like I used
it
to just kind
is.
of exist as like a blob, but I'm kind of like, I'm not a blob. I am biracial.
And what are your races? What are your races, Ramon?
So I'm Creole. I'm mixed with French Canadian and Black. So yeah, I have history in Lake Charles, but I was born in Houston.
Oh, that's cool. I'm in New Orleans.
Oh,
We're right here. And see down here. Okay, Ramon,
mm-hmm.
be my witness for me here. Down here, it's just like I'm saying it's Cuba. Everybody's Creole or
Yep,
Cajun, which is completely separate. So the Creoles, that means you have indigenous. So like the Cubans, we have the Tainos. You have the European, you have the Spaniard, and
yep,
then you have the African.
yep,
And that's what makes you a Creole.
yep,
And so down here, we're all Creoles, baby.
yep.
We're all Creoles. We all have the African, the indigenous, and the European. And we love it and we celebrate it. And we do have, I hate to say it, but this might be very controversial, y'all. But we do have Black Indians. We do. And
That's
we've
not
always had them
controversial.
here.
That's true.
And we parade them on the street.
But my
We
mom
parade on the
actually,
street.
she uses it to kind of like shame the subject. So she's kind of like, don't say that you're Creole, don't say any of that, because anyone can be Creole. Like it's just a like, phrase or whatever, and it makes you come off as snooty. So just say that you're black. So that's kind of how
Yeah,
I
and
was
see,
raised.
okay, and then you say that,
That's erasers.
okay, I've been down that road.
Mm,
You say that you're black, and then black people tell you you're not black. Don't say that your skin's not
Mm-hmm.
black. You don't have the black experience. You're not black. Bam.
yep.
Yeah, we have to
Okay.
erase our identity. We shouldn't. I'm big against. We gotta fight back against erasure of who we are. Like we gotta
Yeah.
embrace all of us. It's all a part of
Okay.
what makes us up.
Like
Mm-hmm.
they want you to claim that you're black, but they don't want to treat you like you're black because you're not black. They can't do that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it's very weird.
Oh, this is something I wanted to spread awareness about. So this is something I learned about today. Did you know that if you're biracial, you could, like, if you need a bone marrow transplant, you could only accept bone marrow from another biracial person? Did
That
y'all know
has your
that?
same
Yep.
yeah.
So I did not know that. Like, we really, like, we got to spread awareness about that. Like, if we need transplants or anything like that, you could only accept it from
And so,
somebody similar.
okay, and
Yep.
see, somebody said, this panel is much more chill, no gaslighting, no pushing biracial points to the edge. And I agree, host. I don't know you. Now, what's your name? Who's the host?
My name's Priscilla.
Priscilla?
Mm-hmm. That's my name. Yep.
That's my granddaughter's name. And you
Really?
think, well, wait, how do you have a granddaughter if you said you never had any children? That doesn't make any sense. Just let me explain. My husband, I married my husband. He had a 5-year-old son who I helped raise, and he was my blessing.
Beautiful.
And
Yep.
he has given me 6 grandchildren.
That's
And he's
amazing.
my son. And I don't look to biology to be his mom.
Amen.
I was his mom day one.
Amen. I love that. That's so beautiful. You have such a beautiful soul and spirit, like all of you guys do, and it's like
Thank
so
you.
refreshing,
Well,
and lovely, and
yes. Okay,
It's
so back to
comforting. Yeah.
the comment section is really cool too tonight, y'all. So yeah, I think Priscilla, what's going to be important as you move forward with creating this space in this house, because technically you named it the House of Biracial. So here we are in the house. I love it. That you bring up the topics that we talk about, like the medical, like I brought up, and have people willing to be vulnerable and open up and share their experiences, and then those things where it's not a gaslight, but we're talking about the things that truly to the heart affect us.
exactly. Because I have some experience with the medical, but who's speaking?
Me, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi. How's everybody doing?
We're
Hi,
good.
Lisa. It's going well.
Good. I'm sorry to hear about your situation, Ramon.
It's all right.
I had a transplant. I had two actually. I had a kidney transplant, and then I had a kidney and pancreas transplant. So, yeah, because I know you were saying a transplant and stuff. I don't think that a biracial person gave it to me. I think she was of the palm persuasion, for lack of a better word. I don't want to say,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, and I'm so glad that you do have this platform, because I've been like thinking, like, I know I'm not the only biracial person in the world, but I was feeling like I was.
Yep.
And I've been on people's platforms on this app, and I was told that I couldn't be in the conversation because I wasn't Black. So I got kicked out of the live because
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah,
talk.
a lot of people will only go by your phenotype, and the minute they don't realize how bigoted they sound, how narrow-minded they sound when they're talking about constantly about how they like to exclude any white tea presenting individuals or Eurocentric looking phenotypes and that type of thing. And it's very narrow-minded, because then you don't, and you know what, it's like a space needed, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like how I'm feeling. It's like I need a space to celebrate my African roots, my Blackness, and because I can't do that among white tea people. You know what I mean? But I do, actually. I do. I celebrate it all the time. And I do.
Well, how are we supposed to fight for the rights of marginalized people when we are not allowed to be part of conversations of marginalized people? I'm not sure why. I mean, it's so. I mean, it's so.
I can answer that question. It's
They're
because we're in
marginalizing
the
us.
wrong margin. We're in the wrong margin.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well,
The
You
wrong
know,
margin.
well, okay.
it
Well,
is because if we join in their margin and we're trying to speak about our struggles, which are very similar, they push us out. And then when we make our own margins, we're bigoted.
Yep.
Right.
So
Right.
you can't really win either way.
No, but I
You know?
think we could find a space. No, but I feel no, because right now, right here in this space, and TikTok is new and doing these things are new. I found a space, like, I think we can definitely turn this into a space between us, that doesn't do that, that isn't bigoted, and does celebrate, exactly who we are without having to push anybody out, you know? It's like, and like Ramon said, look, community is important. And with the things that are happening, the world, the way that it's changing and the way that it's moving, it's important to have community. Nowadays, for example, my communities are all online. The other day, somebody told me, I could tell you're not around Black people. I'm like, right now, I'm not around any people because I am under, hello? You know,
Same. I
I'm
think, yeah.
under, I'm going through treatment, so I don't really socialize when it comes to socializing. When we're living in a country where there's mass shootings, I don't want to go to the mall. My mall has closed. It's completely down. There's nowhere to go. So for me, it's a lot easier I work from home. I own my own business. And for the record, so somebody had told me before that no, we accept the jobs from the white man and all this and that. And no, I own my own business, and my business is the Business Depot. And I help people open up their own businesses. And especially, I help with free consultations to women of color,
I love
because
that.
they fall into an intersectionality where they're, you know,
Mm.
Black women fall into a category where because of intersectionality they are a disadvantage, like twice as much as disadvantage. So I want to come in as an advantage for them.
Mm.
So have y'all ever
And that's
experienced
important
like?
work.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Lisa.
I was gonna say, have y'all ever experienced like when they're like, you wouldn't possibly know what we've been through, talking about, half of us. They're like, you don't even know, but you don't know what we've been through, because we not only get it from that side, we get it from the other side. So we got two people that are
Right.
formed against us,
Double
Yeah.
not
hate.
just
It's
one.
yes.
Yeah. And
And
we
I
can
think,
tell them that we can tell them that till we're blue in the face, and literally we just get like left, like,
White.
they
No,
just
then that's
go,
white.
yeah.
That's white
Biracial,
fragility.
Yeah, they just go,
you're
oh, you're
biracial,
fragile and being pathetic. Like, oh, your
just
experience
being
isn't as worst
sensitive.
as ours, so it can't be that
Yeah,
bad.
Right.
Tragic
exactly.
is asking Kayla, so what kind of business are you trying to start? Yeah, and look, I'm willing to put myself out here and be a resource to help answer questions for people who want to open up their own businesses or whatever. But I'm not in a position where I want to do my own launch or do anything like that. I do this. I like to live surf. I'll go through the lives and see if there's any worth participating in.
I mean, at this point, I've just like my only family just robbed me for the fourth time. And I've just sort of
Wow.
started thinking to myself, like, man, like, is this the best community I have? Like, this is all I really
Mm,
got going for me. Like, and they think it's okay because privilege, and I'm still trying to find my light skinned biracial privilege. I don't know what that looks like.
Right.
Like I'm still trying to find it. Apparently I have it though. Everyone's convinced of
Oh,
it.
it looks, Ramon, it looks like a double scoop of hate and chocolate and
Yeah.
vanilla.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
have you guys, I found myself
On
in a
top of it, chocolate and
panel.
vanilla. You want a cherry on top of that one?
I found
Please no
myself
cherries.
Go ahead, Mouse. Go ahead, Mouse. Let Mouse go.
I found myself in a panel a few days ago with I was two other women who were one woman was dark skinned, the other woman had the same skin tone as I did, literally exactly the same skin tone I did, except we have different hair. And she told me that I did not belong in the conversation because I was not Black. And I thought to myself, it's just so interesting how I just automatically got excluded from the conversation. And I was deemed not
Over
valuable
a
to hold
mutation.
conversation. Yeah, because
Your
of
skin
literally
tone.
because of
Supposedly,
my hair.
technically, the lightness of
Go ahead.
It
Sorry.
just basically was, it was just basically, and what am I going to say? I'm not going to have an argument with somebody. I'm not going to, I'm not going to have conflict with somebody to try to prove myself somebody. But I just completely got shut down
exactly.
Exactly.
and really super aggressive against me. It was really strange. It was really weird. But
Okay, but then that's another thing. You African American women do not like to be told that they are aggressive or called aggressive or be because no,
well,
that's a word
right.
that is not used in the African American community.
Well, I know that. I know that, but
No, I'm
I'm
just
just saying,
saying.
like, it was
I'm
just,
just saying. I'm just saying.
yeah, I know, but I mean, still I'm just looking at the comment. Yeah. Totally not the way she handled or came at me was just not okay and not appropriate at all. And so I just found it interesting that we look exactly the same, our skin color is exactly the same, but because we didn't have the, the hair was different, I just got shut down from the conversation and completely excluded. And
Did you feel like
just based on
disrespected?
what's that?
Did you feel like disrespected?
Oh yeah. I mean, she was just like, you don't belong here. We are three black women, and you with your whiteness can leave. And I was like, you are, you have this completely wrong. We weren't even we were talking about something that had nothing to do with anything about that. We were trying to help somebody with a situation that they had gone through. Totally had nothing to do with.
And see, that's the worst part.
It was
It's so bad that it doesn't even take the subject for people to start discriminating.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
It's too normalized. It's too normalized. I said something about that. That's what I'm fighting against, the normalization. We're human beings. We deserve to be respected as human beings too. We don't deserve to be, it's normalized for people to be racist and be discriminative towards us and exclude us and disrespect us. Like, it's too normalized. And it's like, it's too socially acceptable. It's too socially acceptable. And we have to push back on that. Like, why is it okay for people to do this, treat us like this? It's not. Like, we're human beings too. We can't just like pick and choose who it's okay to disrespect. Like, oh, you can't disrespect this person,
To treat like humans.
We're just humans.
It's like we gotta go back to the human race.
Well, my experience is a little different. I got accepted more so from the white tea people. So, but how they disrespect me is because I'm so fair skinned like them. They say the N word like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they think it's okay because I'm so light. Like I can pass for white because I'm so light, but they'll say the N word and just think it's funny, or that, and I've got to check them and I've got to say something. I'm like, look, you do know that I'm half that. And I mean, it really irritates me. And even my family members who are, well, I'm half Italian, so the Italian side, they kind of do that too. So I'm just like, man, if I'm not getting it from them, then I'm getting it from the white people and my family. So I'm like, what is going on?
Your accent is so cute. Where are you from? I love your accent.
I hate it. I'm from Tennessee, Nashville.
I love it. It's so beautiful.
Well, let me ask, can I ask you something, Lisa?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you push back? Are you anti-racist? Anti-racist. Do you push back on it?
Yes, I let them, I tell them, that's not cool. And, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, but what you're doing is you're just, because I'm part of your family. Or like, I had a friend who I grew up with her. She was my best friend, and she was, of course, YT. So we were friends and stuff. But now, since I've grown up, her mother's saying racist things, on Facebook and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, she never, my mother's like, she's always been like that. You just didn't, recognize it. And I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, and I think the point for me is going to be no, real quick, I just want to say real quick, one of the points for me is going to be to push back on the hatred, regardless of where it's coming from.
Yep.
And that's really why that's why I named myself Love. Say Lee is actually my real name. And, but that's not how I really spell it. But love is really all I have left to give. If I have one day left or one century left, all I got to give is love. And if I'm not going to love you, I don't have the energy to hate you. I'm just going to erase you. And that's where the erasure comes in. Everybody's, not only are we being erased, but we erasing things that make us uncomfortable and things that are not healthy for us. We got to get rid of them.
They're already trying to wipe us out as women. So now I'm like,
Exactly.
Off
No,
the bat, right?
or they're trying to categorize us because then, okay, so I also had a very vulnerable conversation among trans women, which I want to have that conversation again well, because it was cut. Because then we're also like, when you make women, like the definition of a woman, a child, a baby maker, an incubator, some people are social construct. The only thing they see that women are good for is to have babies, and that's not true. But then it makes women like me feel like, am I even a woman? Am I black? Am I white? Am I a woman? Am I not? Like, what? The identity crisis that America will spin you in is insane.
It's insane, and we're all suffering from it. Especially
No, and then they medicate us.
hard.
And then they medicate
And then
us.
they
And
medicate
then
you. God.
no, and I'm medicated. I'm super medicated. I'm taking chemo, radiation, like 20 different prescriptions, like all kinds of shit. And so it makes me emotional. It makes me sleepy. It makes me drowsy. It makes me itchy. It makes my hair fall out. It makes my skin fall off. So it's crazy. It's crazy. And everybody's going through something. So like Ramon said, creating community is important. And it doesn't even matter. And see, America wants to create they want to be a binary. You're either black or white, male or female. Like you got to fit into these little boxes. And
And
I just don't
that's
seem,
important.
and I just don't seem to, I seem to either fit in all of them, really. When I was little, I felt like I fit in with everybody. I didn't feel like rejected by everybody. On the contrary,
Same.
I fit in. I fit in with all my white friends like nothing. All my black friends like nothing. All my Spanish friends like nothing. I was like butter. I melted right in.
Same.
I was so ambiguous. Whatever the kids always saw themselves in me. The
Yeah.
all of they saw themselves in me, and so they would, I don't know. And so it wasn't until I got into the adult world, and especially on the
Thank
internet,
you. You are
that the
It
hatred
changes
comes
when you
out.
get
You're
older.
speaking my
Yeah,
life.
it changes.
Because I relate to Lisa, because growing up I always had white friends. I was like the little hopper. I was all here, there, everywhere, just blending in, getting where I fit in. And I had white friends, and then come to find out, like, like it's sad when you get close to somebody and then they get too comfortable, and then that's when it starts slipping out. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm still suffering from that, because it's like I got to guard up against a lot of people, because it's like I don't want to get close to somebody and then find out who they are. You know what I'm saying? That's why I kind of keep people at it. That's why, like, when you said you only socialize online, I kind of relate to that a little bit. Like, I have like little friends here and there, but it's like,
Well,
I
the thing
really
is,
want to build an online community. I think that's
well, right.
good.
Well, the thing is, we've all gone through. Look, since 2020, we've COVID, and then besides COVID, there's all kind of germs now everywhere. Now we realize it. Not only that, but then now there's mass shootings everywhere you go, because you're white, because you're black, because you're this, because you're that, and it's like, for me, I run my business, and I would say 90% of everything I do online. And so it doesn't matter that I had to shave my head 2 days ago. It doesn't matter that my skin is itchy and it looks like it's falling off. None of those things matter. I could do my work. I could work. Look, I could sit here. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I can have a conversation with 4 other strangers that may impact one person out there and change the world.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's important. It definitely ties into how, the community does speak on systemic oppression here and there. I mean, I think it's important to fight injustice everywhere. But the issue is there are a lot of biracial people that really don't have anywhere to go. Like they really don't fit
Don't
in, or
have a
they try so
community.
hard. They try so hard to fit in one side or the other. And when you're a kid, it's fine. But when people grow up, you start to get a feel for these systems that they come from. You start to see things the way that they are. Even people that are close to you will start to tell you a little bit how they really feel. It's not that they hate you or that they're mean. It's just you're not them. And it's just
They
that
don't see
simple.
themselves.
You
Yeah,
know, they don't see
exactly.
themselves in you the way that they did.
Well,
And
that's
then,
why I think yeah, it does, and that's why I think it's cute that Priscilla named it the House of Biracials, because you start with a house, and you welcome I love it. I love it because it does create a little
I'm not gonna
space.
take credit for that. Look, I'm gonna give credit to where is he in the comments? Tragic J. He created this. Like he lets me go live on here, but he started this whole thing. So I'm gonna give credit to him. Shout out to Tragic J. Shout out to him.
Shout out.
I'm
Okay,
gonna
yeah,
give him all
look.
the credit. Okay, that's all him right there.
Okay,
But
Tragic,
I'm
look,
just
we're
here
gonna need.
contributing. I'm just here
Yes,
trying to
no,
contribute.
look, we all are now because really it's the village. It takes the village. One person comes up with something, but really it's that second person that sparks it and gives it support. That spark lights it on fire. The rest of us, we're just gas.
Yep.
I thought
We're
it
just
came from that
gas.
House of Dragons. I was like, oh, okay.
I like that too. I like that.
Okay,
Well,
Umi is saying it's hard. I'm dating a Mexican guy and I love his culture and his family, but they hurt me a lot. Why? Because Mexicans are, what are they saying? What are they saying to you?
they kind of mean.
Umi? Because you look very fair skinned and Mexicans usually,
They tend to like the fair skin.
actually, they like both. Mexicans are fine. Black women love Mexican men, actually, and Mexican men love black women.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Oh.
During the abolition of slavery, when America was not America, when the United States was still looking at the enslaved African as an animal, as chattel, Mexico had already abolished slavery, and any African descendant slave who stepped foot in Mexico immediately became a citizen. Just stepping foot in Mexico made you a Mexican citizen, and you were immediately allowed to have Mexican citizenship, and you can immediately join the army to fight against it. And
Wow.
yeah, and so a lot of African slaves became free men in Mexico.
The more you know.
And, no,
There
and
you
so
go,
you
right?
yeah, and so really Mexico and African black people have a very good history of alliances throughout the history, and so it's kind of shocking to me why nowadays, like in modern days, 2023, you hear African Americans refer to Mexicans like, oh, Mexicans, like they're a race beneath them sometimes, and the with in Mexico I feel like it's very open to African American culture and and loving its people reciprocally. I see a lot of it on TikTok. Black women loving being in Mexico and living a better life.
Oh yeah.
And, and then that's how we get these biracial kids, because who we talking about is our parents, y'all.
Exactly. I just seen this really cool live of this Afro Mexican. Like he was saying how there's a lot of Afro Mexican communities in Mexico. And I was like, that's lit. Like he was so beautiful and he was handsome and it was like amazing. And I was like, I love learning about
Oh my God, yes. The
I've been
Afro
treated pretty
Mexican is a
bad.
the Afro Mexican is a beautiful individual. And see, okay, so that's another great topic for one of the rooms in the house, y'all, is to famous biracial people, famous,
oh, it's a good one.
mixes
Of the history.
that have made it its own mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do y'all know
Exactly.
the content creator on here who's biracial and makes those shirts? And it says,
Laura?
yes, I love her. I bought one of her shirts that says, yes, I'm black.
Oh, she said, look, somebody said in the comments, oh, can you make a shirt that says, yeah, I'm biracial? And she said she might think about it, or she might do it. Like, I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, there's one that already she has one, and it's a black t-shirt, and in white words it says, yes, ... I'm black. And I bought one and I wore it, and people were like, well, the palm colored people were like, what does that mean? I'm like, you know what? Don't even worry about it.
Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
don't worry about it. Go about your day.
Mouse, I want to buy one of your shirts, girl. I want to encourage you to fulfill your dreams and make your shirts, girl. And I want one. Like, I'll buy one. I'll support it. I support a lot of. Yeah, you gonna buy it?
Is your stuff out? Is it out, Mouse?
No, well, no, it's not out. I was talking about it earlier. It's not out.
Okay, so what if I was thinking about this the other day. In the gender conversation, we talk about non-binary. Can you be racially non-binary?
Exactly. I think about the same
Biracial or
thing.
Racially?
I
non-binary?
think about this. I literally have thought the same thought before. Like I was like, when it comes to the gender, and then it's like we're racially non-binary as well. Either it's like we're not one or the other. We're in between. So it's like, but you know how people are always saying they're always saying, oh, race and gender are different. But I think there is like some comparisons there that we could look at.
I mean, if race
So
is a construct, then I mean, it depends. I don't know. I don't care what someone identifies as. Like even creepy, weird people like Rachel Dolezal. I don't really care if she wants to identify as someone black. Like, I just think it's weird, but I wouldn't like ban her from work or anything like that. Like, it's not that deep to me. I just think it's weird.
right. It's
It's
Tragic
weird,
J.
but
weird.
she's still
Yeah.
a human. She's still a human. So that's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah. There's like a non-binary racial. I mean, non-binary is basically um another iteration of trans. That's how they identify. So, I mean,
If Tragic J does what he said he was going to do in the comments, I would pay $50 for that shirt. Did y'all see
Hold
what
on,
he
what is
said?
that?
He said, or yeah, I'm white on the back and yeah, I'm black on the front.
No. That's funny. I'm dead. That's a good. Hey, that's some merch ideas. I love
That's
it.
right, right. I said I'd pay $50 for it.
I,
Just a
that's the
t-shirt.
yeah,
brand. The House of Biracial. Is that the brand? Why not?
that's funny. I mean, I support it. I even like the last time I came here, I was just asking like question after question, like why make a biracial community? Why not just be a part of the black community? I had so many questions at the start. And then I thought about it. I was like, okay. And then now as I look around, I'm just kind of like, well, before I just kind of existed as just like this thing, just not worried about it. But, I do want a community. I don't think it's fair that I have to just kind of like exist in between and then say I'm something that I'm not fully.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think that's fair to me. That's not kind
Amen.
of
I'm
myself.
gonna welcome the new people. Hey Naya. Hey girl. Thanks for jumping on here again. Good to see you.
Hey, sorry I was back and forth earlier. I'm at work, so I was kind of like, I didn't mean to hit the join button.
You good? And hi Giovanni and Danielle. Daniela. How you guys doing?
Oh,
Welcome.
hi.
How's
Yeah,
Thank you,
it's
guys.
Daniela. Hi.
Hey,
I
welcome.
have to go, y'all, but I followed everybody that's in the
I'm gonna
box.
follow you, Lisa. I'm gonna if you could join the Discord too. I can send you a
Okay.
link in the messages and stuff, so you could join the Discord and stuff.
Oh, I need to
Okay,
join
sure.
the Discord
Yes.
too.
Join the Discord, yes. Join the
Okay.
Discord. It's fun. It be lit in there. I be talking in there a lot too. So
So I'm going to I don't know if y'all believe, but I'm going to say a prayer for Ramon and for um I think where is she? The one that was going through
Saley,
all of the chemo and stuff?
Saley.
Saley, yeah. Yeah. I do a prayer every night, so I'll pray for everybody in the in here, but just, the
Priscilla,
people that have gone through something. So yeah.
Thank
Priscilla,
you.
Priscilla,
Yes, ma'am.
Priscilla, can you check your messages really quick?
Yeah, I'll check them.
Good night, everybody.
Night, Lisa. Nice
Good
talking to
night. Thank you
Bye,
for being up
Lisa.
here. I appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks.
you.
She got the cutest accent ever. Let me go in my messages real fast. But how y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing?
It's a good night.
It's a good night. It's been rough. Like today was rough for me too. Like it was fucking. I was crying. I was a mess.
Oh
Going
It
through
no.
was
life, going
interesting
through life's
today.
ups and downs. But it's good to have a community. I feel happy right now. Like I feel like just talking to you guys and just connecting with people. Like that makes me really happy. Simple as that.
I wanted
I want to make a community too.
I wanted to ask you guys about the Rachel thing because I remember when this happened, my mother said, "Is it a crime to identify as black even if you're not black?" And because she was wondering why everyone was making such a big deal out of it. And I get like the part, but I guess maybe because she's working for NACCP or something like that. But would there have been an outrage if she identified as white? I don't think we've had really too many people that like have been in trouble for it in this day and age. So when you say that, you know, the non-binary crowd as well, the whole understanding is do not assume based on what I look like that I am that particular title. And so, in a sense, I do wonder what they mean when they say race is different in this situation because it's like a whole systematic approach. There's like a whole. I'm gay, by the way, so you know I respect like everyone's sexual orientation, but it's also interesting when you know there's a video going around where they're saying they want to have tampons available in the bathrooms for people who are going through their transition, and people are saying, but they don't need tampons; they're not menstruating. And why should it be free for them? It was never free for you. So you have all this stuff, you know, to kind of like get us to, I guess, we all have to transition our minds for the new case of this whole new thing. So why are they trying
Right.
so hard to do that?
Right.
But when it comes to race, it has to be like, no, you
Yeah,
have to just
it has to
pick
be like
this box.
set. I think the same thing. It's like gender's fluid. We all accept like there's new things being created. It's all, and I'm like that's beautiful. But when it comes to race and our racial identity, it's like you have to do it like this. It's there's no other way. It's like so
Yeah.
concrete, and so like 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 set and it's like no, let's figure out how we gotta like break down the we gotta break that down. We gotta break it down a little bit because the way things are, the way like race is like set up in a bit. Like I like what Ami said. Like race was a whole concept was meant to as a tool of oppression. Like we should just really go based off ethnicity, and then you know what I'm saying. So it's like there's so
Right.
much to unpack there that is like,
Well,
you know,
yeah.
we gotta really.
And
I
despite
tried.
what race is, oh, I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just saying that, like, despite what race is, I mean, whatever people want to call it now, people still face consequences because of some shit that people made up. Like, I mean, money is a
Exactly.
made up thing too, and look at how it swings people's lives. Like, I mean, people still get discriminated for being biracial. You know, our issues are trivialized. Most of us are scattered in the wind, trying to be one side or the other. Um, I was made aware of the suicide rates last time and I went and fact checked them. It's scary. You know, I
It's
mean, I
scary.
feel like I'm literally just doing my whole life like alone, like just pushing
Uh-huh.
through, you know, just kind of blending in the sidelines. And I've told myself for a while that, you know, everyone's like this. I'm okay with it. But then I get to see all these other people in communities, and every time I try to squeeze myself in, it's always as if I'm not there. I'm not mean to anyone. I don't say anything. I don't cause a stir, but it's just I don't fit. So now I've kind of thought to myself, yeah, I cried once over like, why can't I fit in? You know, and I just gave up and made peace with it. But now I don't want to just make peace with being a blob. Like I want to fit in somewhere too. You know, I don't want my problems to be trivialized forever. I'd like to know that on this blue ball, you know, someone gets it. You know, it would be
Exactly. And you
nice.
fit in here. You fit in right here with us. Okay. Definitely. So you have a place where you fit in at 100%. Okay. Don't feel like you don't. You really do. And you know what's even more scarier? You know how I found out about the suicide rates? It was fucking white racist nationalists that like were
Mm.
like my friend made a page on Instagram like dedicated to mixed race people, and it got flooded by all these like crazy white nationalist Nazi people, and they were flooding the page saying, oh, we did. And one of them was like, do you know the suicide rates? You guys shouldn't even exist. That's what it said. That's what they said. And I checked the suicide rates. I was like, oh my gosh. But they were trying to weaponize that against us, like why we shouldn't even be here because of those suicide rates. So I was like,
Yep.
I took that and I was like, no, we need to really make sure like we're taken care of. Like, no, like I'm not gonna let y'all weaponize that against us.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
that's how I found out. I did not know. Like, why did it take some racist person for me to find out about, like, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy, right? Like, it's crazy. And
But it's true.
that's why.
Yeah, they feel like we shouldn't exist. And on the other end, they just want us to blend in. They kind of want to erase the identity because they view it as a sign of oppression. It doesn't, our presence makes them feel, for the most part, uncomfortable. And I get it, I get, the connotations to it, but we exist. And the fact that, our skin is a little bit lighter or we have a little bit of a different experience doesn't mean that we're out to get you or cause any harm to you or anything like that. So it's like something having negative connotations doesn't mean that you just destroy it. That's not how that works.
Exactly.
I don't know if you guys have been seeing these comments as the chat, but the chat, I'm screaming because the chat is the best right now. And I just need to point out, like Haley just said, like getting called. Yeah. Oh shit. I'm sorry. I interrupted and I had a point and now I completely got distracted. By reading that comment, I forgot where I was going to go with this. I apologize. I'm going to go mute myself again. I'm
No,
sorry.
you good. I do that all the time.
I'm
I'll be
sorry.
like, trying to,
I'm
I
loving
always
this chat
forget.
right now. The chat is just so awesome.
Yeah.
I'm loving this chat. This is great. Yes.
Yes. I forgot what I was going to say too. I had a point I was trying to bring up about, I don't know. I'll just talk about, go back to the sense of community. So yeah, you do fit into our community. We're building it. It got humble beginnings, but we got to start somewhere, right? I think we got to start somewhere. So we're into like the foundational stages of things. You know what I'm saying? Of just trying to build, and we got to protect our little, because we all know historically, communities get destroyed by people who feel threatened by it. You know what I'm saying? So that's happened to, all people of color's communities. So it's like, we got to make sure we protect it. But we're online though, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
we got to make sure we protect it and make sure that we are, because we deserve this. I just want this space. And I encourage other people to make spaces too. I don't want to be the only one. Like, there has to be more than just one. Because just because we all mix doesn't mean we're all going to get along. Like, it's not. Like, that's not the case.
That's what I wanted to say something about. I wanted to say something about that earlier.
Yeah.
I thought that was crazy that the person that was on she left the one that told us that horrible story that she went through. She was saying that, that you had the, basically the balls to do this. And I said, that's nuts. That's ridiculous that you have to have the fucking balls to do this. Like, why should we be nervous? And why should we be observant? Which goes back to my fucking t-shirt comment. Like, why should I be nervous to hold a room like this? Because we know inevitably we are going to be met with pushback, which is why people are having conversations about your room. Why is that? Why is that? That's so crazy.
We get attacked. Like, somebody said it. Because of the attacks.
Why?
You see how I get attacked all the time? I don't give a damn though. I'm like, fuck y'all.
But what is, like, you're mad at the wrong, like, why are you mad at me? Why are you mad at me? I didn't do nothing. I didn't do a thing. I did not ask to be here. I'm sorry. You're mad at the wrong person. You want to be mad at my mom? You want to be mad at my father? They're both dead. You want to talk? What do you want me to do?
You know how, like, it's weird how every community goes through this, where they go through a period of, it's like, oh, they're marginalized, they're treated like shit, they're da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, it's not socially acceptable no more to do that. You know what I'm saying? But right now, we're in a period where it's socially acceptable. So that's why we got to fight to make sure it's not socially acceptable. Because right now, people could do that and there's no consequences because it's socially acceptable. Nobody.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's socially acceptable. So it's like, I don't think people have morals. I think morals are dictated by what's socially acceptable or not. Because we all know racism is wrong. But people will do it if they could get away with it, if it's socially acceptable to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just believe that people's morals are dictated based on if it's socially acceptable or not, if they're going to face consequences or not, basically. You know what I'm saying?
That's all they care about.
That's all they care about, yeah. Because if it's like, if I'm not going to get backlash for nothing, I'll do it because who cares, So that's what we go through right now. There's no backlash. There's no, because we're so divided, like,
like it's like a numbers game really too. If we're united and we start defending ourselves and we start speaking up against we'll get to the point where it's not socially acceptable no more, because it's like, no, we all got to stand up against, like, unite against that. But it's like, if it's just one person trying to speak up against it against like a million people, that's not gonna, it's just not gonna get nowhere. So it's like, that's why we got to come together and all be like, hey, collectively, no, we're not gonna stand this anymore. Like, it's not okay. And that's what a lot of communities had to do, and that's what we have to do. Like, that's what we got to do. Yep.
I just wanted to say it's interesting because mixed race identity existed here in America, but a lot of
Yeah.
it has been destroyed.
Yep.
You know, and I don't know if you guys know, but like W.E. Du Bois, um,
Yeah.
their family were never even enslaved, and even on the
I
mother's
didn't know
side,
that.
yeah, they come from it's also funny the way how they write the whole history of African American history. They'll say free people of color, but the majority of the free people of color were mulatto. And the interesting thing is, you also have the quadroons and all that other stuff. And it gets even more interesting. You have people who are dark skinned and also mixed race, and they come from a long line of free people too, like W.E. Du Bois' mother. So it's not even about the skin tone, just, you know, phenotype and all sorts of stuff. And these people own land. I actually know someone in South Carolina whose family, for generations, owned acres of land. And, you know, obviously they identify as Black and they come in all colors, you know, today, but they're all mixed race, obviously. And it's because I did their genealogy, and their ancestor, who was a plantation owner, loved his mulatto daughter. And I know that sounds very hard to believe for a lot of people when they look at American history, but he actually really cared about his daughter. He gave her half of the acres of the plantation, and the other side went to her white siblings. And so many generations has passed, and a lot of people didn't know that the people that lived around the corner for them were their white cousins. And when I was doing the genealogy, I said your white side of the family actually had a painting of your ancestor. And so the whole thing was a shock, because when I look at the history of Black history in South Carolina, they always say Black people weren't allowed to have land. But then, you know, at some point in 1930, you had to choose if you were Black or white. Prior to that, you had census records. So yeah, as a mulatto, you could own land. So there's even people that are very famous in South Carolina. They won't even mention that they're Black or white. It will say it was a very powerful, notable American family. Meanwhile, everyone else, they'll say they were Irish or something else. But that's how thought provoking they've edited out certain things. And a lot of, I think, genealogists are catching on to all this stuff, that everything they taught us in history class is just not completely correct. But no one has taken the initiative to fix it. But I do see it coming in a little bit in like movies, Disney, you know. I don't know if you guys saw the new movie, the series with Interview with the Vampire, and the guy,
No, I seen
right?
Strange World.
So the guy that he's in love with, right, that he turns into a vampire, he's a light-skinned Black guy who comes from a long line of mixed race family members who were plantation owners. And this, obviously, that was a big thing in New Orleans. Like, probably Beyonce comes from that sort of thing as well. And so, but you know, all of this has been edited, but for some reason, this show decided to be completely transparent with the history. And you see when the
I
Americans
gotta
come
watch.
over, yeah, so I think it's slowly coming out a little bit here and there in a lot of ways, but like, you know, like that big. But I think if they just did that, it would give people like more clarity, because you even have white people who are 10% African in the South, you know, and a lot of them are surprised about it. And the issue also with biracial people I've noticed is that a lot of them who don't look biracial and look fully white, sometimes their father, they'll show it on TikTok, and their father looks mixed race, and everyone's like, like Eartha Kitt. They're like, wait, but wasn't Eartha Kitt black? And they're like, no, actually, her father or her grandfather was white, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why her daughter is probably more white than black. She's not even 50. And so
Exactly.
because of that one
Mhm.
drop rule and the hidden and all that, I realize it really has just destroyed people's like identity, confusion. So I
Yep.
think it
Yep.
has a lot to do with that, the whole history.
Absolutely. And thank you. I love that you're saying all of that because that's what I'm all about, like reclaiming our history, reclaiming our identity, and just know that we existed here. Like, I can't wait to watch a show. I'm about to watch a show now that you said that because it's like if they put it out there, I want to see it
Hmm.
because have you seen okay, because one of my favorite movies about is have you guys seen The Feast of All Saints?
No.
Look up The Feast of All
Yes, that
Saints.
is
I
such a
have.
good movie.
Yeah, The Feast of All Saints. That's about New Orleans. That's about the Creoles. They talk
Mm-hmm.
about the quadroon ball, and it's an all biracial class. Like it's the only movie I've ever seen with like all biracial, all mixed people because they're all Creole and they're all mixed race. And they'd say in the movie that they purposely hid his history from him. They didn't want him to know like the history. Like they purposely did it to him. You know,
Yep.
Yep.
he
It's
didn't
an
know
older
who.
movie too.
Because it's part of
It's like, yeah, it's
erasure.
from like 2000 something, but such a good movie. I'm telling you, look up The Feast of All Saints, y'all. Like, that movie blew my mind. I was like, it's free on YouTube. Watch it on YouTube. Look up The Feast of All Saints on YouTube. They got part one and part two. It's a good
Mm.
movie. They put it out
It
there though.
is
They'll
good.
tell you the history about. Yeah,
That's the one
watch
part
it.
of America that they couldn't really hide that part because,
Mm-hmm.
The mixed race people there had really stood their ground even when America took over,
Mm-hmm.
whereas everywhere
Mm-hmm.
else it just erased itself.
Yeah, yeah. Probably they had like a more numbers there too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's power in numbers. My mom, so both my
Exactly.
parents are mixed. And it's actually really sad because they were kind of isolated themselves. Like I was taught that, just identify as black, but we didn't really have a community. We didn't really have a church home. We moved all the time. Even now, my mom kind of complains that she's alone and will probably die alone, but she kind of blocked me out of her life. But it's like, it's pretty sad, like
It is.
to kind of like, carry on this identity and then be excluded from your community, raise kids excluded from a community, and then your kids grow up
Mm-hmm.
and they're excluded and they
Mm-hmm.
just kind of tolerate it. It's not right.
It's not right. It's not.
It's a cycle.
Yep, it's a 2001 movie wrote by Anne Rice. Yep. That's the same person, ironically, that's the same person who wrote Interview with a Vampire. If you watch him, ironically. Yeah.
I love that.
I
Yes.
I
love
actually
that
love the
movie.
movie.
Mhm.
Anne Rice was her name.
Yeah, that she wrote the Feast of All Saints. So,
What?
That's
yeah,
wild. I didn't know that.
the main
word, right?
character
That's
in the main character in Feast of All Saints, her you remember the main character, his mom in that show, if
mm-hmm.
you watched it, she's actually
The
my
mom.
cousin, Gloria Rubin,
No
the mother.
way.
Yeah.
Really?
So
No way. That's
That's
yeah,
wild.
crazy.
I've never
That's
met her
mad
before,
wild.
but she's actually my cousin. And if you go on, there's something called Finding Your Roots with the African American professor at
Yep.
Harvard.
Hmm. I
And
know.
so
Yep.
they,
Oh, I've seen
right,
this.
there's an episode of her on there, and they did her father's family and stuff. So yeah, it's very, very interesting because she doesn't know much
That's
about her family.
wow. That's
I've
mind
seen
blowing.
this.
It's a small world.
Yep, it is.
Mm, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
because I wanted to say that, I'm not a biracial person. I come from a long line of mulatto and quadroon people marrying each other in
Mm-hmm.
the islands. And
Mm-hmm.
they came to New York, so I'm first generation American. But I also realize that our roots are in America a long time ago, like in Louisiana and the Carolinas. That's why I said that genealogy has really opened my mind. And what I find interesting about the whole thing is that in the Caribbean, I have so many ancestors that look 100% white, but they're actually labeled as brown sometimes. And then when they're in America, they're labeled as white. And it's so funny because I have 1,000 questions. Some of my questions are, did the people know when they got here? Or, like there's so many things I can't really figure out. And then I'll find another sister of a sibling of a generation that I'm looking at, and one looks like they could be a half sibling. So I was like, are they white or black, or are they mixed, or both? Like, and it's funny because the DNA, I'll find a lot of American white cousins who are 3 generations back in Jamaica, but not in America, right? And so they'll say they didn't know that they were mixed, or that their grandmother was like, 25% black or something like that. And so they're trying to go through the whole process, trying to figure everything out. So what I realize is that in the Caribbean, they were amongst their own people. And once they got to the United States, a lot of them decided to just marry Caucasian people. And I think that was just the way that they were able to fit into society. And I don't really necessarily think that they were trying to erase like who they were and stuff, because some people did marry like whatever nationality. But the thing is that what I'm realizing is that it was just so complex here in the United States. So I think if you could just, because I don't want to call it passing as like you're passing to survive. I think it's more in the sense that I'm talking about a certain side of the family where we weren't even aware of the fact that they were mixed race. We thought that they were always white on that side, because you come from different sides. And um and that's how crazy. No one actually sits down and says, okay, this person is white, this person is black, this person's mixed race. There's, my grandmother's family, a lot of them, we are of Portuguese descent. And so a lot of us, had looked Portuguese. And then, but we know that we're also of African descent and many other things. But there were certain people that when I was a kid, in the older generation, they were actually fully white, certain cousins and stuff, and I didn't know. And someone actually, we had like a great aunt, and because there's a lot of cousins who were marrying cousins back then, also because of the population of, people marrying their own and stuff like that. And so there was a relative that we called Barbara, but she was like a cousin of us, not an in-law, but she was from the white side of the family, and she fell in love with, this guy named Bobby, who is my uncle, great uncle, but it's also her cousin. And so one day, when she was alive, she explained it to me, that I saw a picture of 2 of her parents, and I said, "Who are these people?" And she said, "Those are her parents." And I said, "Oh, so both your parents, like, they are white?" And she says, "Yes." She says, "I'm white." She says, "You guys are mixed." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And this is like when I was a kid, So that's why I was saying it can be very confusing, because down there people use the term brown, fair skin, red, you know. And here in the United States, when they moved here, people was always asking my grandmother, my mother, like what's your nationality? And they would say, "Oh, we're Jamaican, but we're of Portuguese descent, but we're also of like many other different things." And so that was just easy because people like went by it and they understood, right? But at the same time, we're also black, and my grandfather, he looks, I would say, like the average African American person, even my father, but not my mother's and her mother's side. So that's how interesting it was, growing up. But no one said like, "Oh, like they understood," because they looked at Jamaica. The average Jamaican didn't really look like us, so they were always just confused from the very beginning. So it was always like a history lesson for them, and it's like they realized that mixed race people have just always been around. And I think like people like us sort of threaten everything that they put into like a box or something like that,
Yeah.
because it's like they really just don't know navigate that, because they're not running into that all the time. And it's really mind-blowing to me that now you guys have this group that's starting, because I'm realizing this existed in America at one time, but it just disappeared. And for many of us who are first generation American who come from mixed families in the Caribbean, we've never dropped the title that we're mixed, but maybe some people do when they become famous. I don't know. You know what I mean? So, because Colin Powell was actually my grandmother's cousin as well. And I realized when I was a kid, they said that Colin Powell was a sellout. I remember hearing a Black person say that. And I never understood why, they were saying it. I still really don't. I mean, I know he's like Republican and all this other stuff. But I would meet a lot of Caucasian people and they would tell me that they thought his father was white or that his mom was Black. And I was like, no, he was mixed on both sides. Both sides of the family, they were all quadroons. And everyone's like, wow, so that in itself blows their mind away. So I think the fact that you have biracials, you also have quadroons out there who don't know that they're quadroons. And then you probably have something further because there's a girl on The View. I can't remember her name, Tia and Tamara or something like that.
Yeah, that's
her son is a
How you forget
quadroon.
Tia and Tamara?
Yeah, how you forget them?
Yeah,
Sister.
she tried to pass off that her son is Black also in some sort of conversation, but her son is like 75% Caucasian.
Right. Yes.
And being that is a big growing number of biracial people marrying Caucasian now. And so they're going to have to get used to the idea of those kind of people. Because even Mariah Carey, I actually found out that they had to convince people that she was Black. In the very beginning, people didn't accept it because her father is not just Black, he's also Spanish and also indigenous. And then her mom is white. She's technically what they call a mestizo. And so when I think about people saying that race is a racist thing that started, to me, the way I look at it is when mixed race people was first coming about in the Americas, supposedly it was like a big thing because it's almost like a new race. And you hear that in Latin America.
Yep.
I'm mestizo, I'm a new race because my race didn't exist. And that has become the majority. And also in Jamaica, it's called the brown class. In Haiti, it's called Jean de Couleur, right? So that's where the movie like based everything off of. And so you have all of this, and just calling yourself mulatto is a threat. Meanwhile, in the Black community, you can call yourself the N word. And, so something about it scares the African American community for any of this to be reclaimed, And Dominican Republic, they really hate that group as much as possible because that's a mulatto state. It's the highest mulatto state in the Caribbean,
Right.
So, yeah. That's all I have to say.
Ooh, let's talk about this whole like new race thing. Cause I was literally saying this the other day. I was like, we're basically like a new race. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't. It's like so many people are like, that's impossible. Like, you can't do that. Like, that's just like, but I'm like, it's already happened like a bunch of times. But it's like, I get what people are saying. Like, you can't. Because race and ethnicity are different, right? So it's like, are we a new ethnicity or like a new race or like a new thing? Like, we're kind of trying to become our own race, but at the same time, race is a social construct. But it's like, it's so confusing.
Well, I mean, the same way, like, Black people would blame systemic oppression, I blame that here too. Like, it all might be made up, but at the end of the day, we're facing very real consequences that are not made up. Like people are in turmoil because of it. I mean, I'm an example, you're an example. So because it's an issue, it needs to be addressed. So we can call it made up all day, but I exist.
Made up, right? It's not changing nothing. I exist. Yeah. Thank you. And it's like, it is like a thing of erasure because here's what I think. Because it's like the racial construct around race that white supremacy created is oppressive. Yes. But it's like, if we start taking back our own identity and start like defining ourselves and saying, hey, this is my identity. This is what I am. This is my race. I think that's healthy. I think we should all take our identity back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what I'm for. And people are pushing against that. Like, no, you can't do this. And I'm like, why not? Yeah. Like, YT, they created their own concepts that benefit them. It's like, why can't we create our own concepts and stuff that benefit us? Like,
exactly.
why
like,
can
what's
they
the
do it, but we can't?
alternative? Like, what's the alternative? stay alone, stay scattered, keep dying with high suicide rates, keep having issues trivialized.
Let's see the.
Like, I mean,
We don't. It's do or die. Yeah, it's like we either do this or we're gonna keep getting fucked up, keep getting. It's. We don't have an option. We don't have the option. Our backs.
Are the numbers
Hey,
increasing of
Ghosty.
the suicide rates? I'm learning about the suicide. I never knew about it, but is this like, is it in certain parts of the country more, or is it like every state?
You
Do
know
they
what?
go
The
into
study that I
detail?
looked at was in the UK. I
Oh,
don't know about. It was actually in the UK. I don't know about the. I don't think they study us like that in America. In America, but
in
the
the
study I
U.S.,
looked
we're
at was
not
in
that
the UK.
important.
oh my God.
Right?
Yeah, in the U.S., we're not that important. Now,
We're not.
black death rates are through the roof right now. So I guess you could say that we're in that mix. But I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh my
Only half of us are.
Oh, it's officially
yeah,
summer, y'all. Oh, we finna get tan. You know what I'm
we
saying?
die
We're
half
done
as much as other black people. How about that?
Yeah, but
Like, I
hi,
mean,
hi,
it's not
Riley.
okay.
Screaming.
What up,
Hi,
Riley? I like your
everybody.
like style. I like your mohawk. I'm feeling it.
Thank
I
you.
like it.
Thank you.
How you doing? Welcome to the box.
Yeah, I didn't know there was like a whole page dedicated to biracial people, so this is kind of
Isn't that
cool.
cool? Isn't it kind of
That
cool?
is cool.
Right? You're biracial?
It's definitely interesting. Yeah, I'm mostly African descendant, English, Irish.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm the same mix. I'm Irish, black. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? Like, yeah, we got a
Yeah,
space. We got a little community. So welcome.
yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
So what is everybody that's in the box? What's everybody in the box? Because I'm blind and I can't, I can't see the pictures.
The short one, half black, half French, and Creole.
I'm Irish.
Oh yeah, I
You
am
said Blirish.
Portuguese. Let me see: Portuguese, African, Irish, Scottish, French, German, Jewish, Middle Eastern, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm predominantly Haitian and Native, and a little bit of Romanian.
Ooh,
My
gorgeous.
my father is from, or my biological father is from. I'm first generation of this country. My biological father is from Cairo, and my mother was from Germany.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Beautiful, beautiful roots. Beautiful, guys. And how do you guys like? Oh, go ahead. You
I
want to say
was
something?
gonna.
And
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna.
whenever
Oh,
I
go ahead.
say Cairo, whenever I say Egypt, they're just like, people will always be like, well, that doesn't mean who's black. And I'm just like, okay, you're right, because not all people in Cairo, Egypt, and Africa are black. But in my case, he was black. And yeah, so
I was
again,
gonna
Well,
say
erasure.
when you
I'm
step in
Egyptian.
America, I'm pretty sure they'll call you black.
Go one at a
So
time. I'm gonna start
Oh
with
no,
Riley, and
they
then
won't.
we could all
They
go.
don't. No, they don't.
they
Go ahead,
don't.
Riley. What were you
No.
gonna say?
Oh, no, I was gonna say I'm Nigerian, Egyptian, and Cote d'Ivoire. My grandma is English and Irish. She's from Ireland. There's also like Native and Chinese, but it's like very, very small amounts. So I'm mostly just look black and white. But like with the Egypt thing, like yeah, a lot like when you look at the history of Egypt, it goes back so far, right? And so they traded a lot with like Greeks and Romans, and like everybody's been there.
Yes,
So like it's kind of hard to determine.
exactly.
I mean,
I'm reading a
Egypt is
book about that.
Africa. No.
You know what I learned, guys? You know what I learned? I was reading this book about like the Moors, and they said that northern Africa, like the DNA changed because of the white slave trade, the white tea slave trade that happened. That they brought so many like Europeans in, and that's how they got all mixed up in the starting in like 700, like when the Moors were in power for like 700 years, like, and they brought in all those like white tea slaves. That's when like things started mixing and stuff. So I didn't know that. That kind of blew my mind. I was like, whoa, I did not
You
think
have to
about
remember
that like that.
like was it Herodotus, the first considered the first historian when they talked about Egypt, but like Egypt had existed for thousands of years. So, like when we look at the Ptolemy period of Egypt especially, the pyramids were considered ancient to them. And then you had like a lot of interaction between the Greek and like it's a Mediterranean. So like a lot of Egyptians don't consider themselves black, like quote unquote proper black or African or whatever. But it's because of so much trade and like culture that was exchanged in that area because that's like northern Africa.
Millions of years, exactly. So when people say, you know how people are always like, mixed race is the future, we're the future, like this is like something new, like a new phenomenon. I mean, this is nothing new. Like we have such a deep history because humans have been mixing forever, and creating like new tribes, and so it's nothing new.
It's the future because the white supremacist state that established in like quote unquote Western countries, America, Britain, whatever, right? Like they were like, hey, let's have a white supremacist hegemony or hegemony. I can never pronounce that word. And so they were predominantly white and white focused. Thank you. But like, yeah, like even like Vikings came here, or when Vikings went to England, like they were considered completely different types of people, right? Like the Anglo-Saxon myth, there's no such thing as really Anglo-Saxons because it's more complicated than that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter. We're all from the same planet, and like, it's fine.
Period. Period. Why are we fighting? Like, why are some humans like? That's what we keep talking about. Like, why is it okay to discriminate against some humans and not some other humans? Because we're all fucking humans. So why the fuck are we got to keep the same energy for all humans, right?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing, I don't know, I'm sorry to get nerdy with you guys, and I apologize if I'm like taking over, but did you guys ever watch, did you ever watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Oh, I know. That's, no, I didn't watch it.
All right, well,
I know what you're talking
the
about.
bad guy,
It's a Marvel movie. It's a Marvel
it's a Marvel TV show. I'm a big comic book fucking nerd. But like in that show, the main antagonist is this group of people who were like saying that we're one planet, one people. Like that was their big tagline. Because after the snap from like one of the Avengers movies, I can't remember the name, Endgame or whatever, like a bunch of people came back and like they were having trouble integrating because like a lot of societies were thrown into like destabilization, and they were like, well, no, we're one people, and I'm like, I identify with these, like they're labeled as terrorists, but I'm like, no, they make a lot of sense. Like we are one, yeah, like we're one planet, one people. Why are we segregating into, and like because like my mixed race, but also I was adopted by wealthy white people, and then there's like Chinese people in my family, Cuban people, Puerto Rican people, like we have a ton of different white, black, whatever, and I was like, dude, we're all just people, right? Like we should be caring about people.
Yeah,
exactly. I agree with you, man.
But like I grew up black, right? Like no one's ever looked at me and been like, that's a mixed race guy until very recently. Like I grew up under the auspices of being black. I had to deal with that interacting with the state, right, as a black person, interacting with capitalism as a black person. And I never once like thought to myself like, you know, I'm mixed. Like I never think and be like, I'm Irish. I'm like, nah, I'm black. It's fine. Like, but and that's not to say that like it's bad to think that way, to be like, yo, I'm mixed or black. It's just that's the system that I grew up in, right? And now we're seeing more.
I grew up in
we're all in that system, definitely.
We were all in that system. I grew up thinking I was black too, and then you know things are changing. Like more people are starting to identify as mixed, and things are changing
This is pretty much the only place people ask me what I'm mixed with. I never get that question. People just say, "Oh, you're black."
Exactly, and it's like I had that culture shock. I had a culture shock, though. It was like, you know, I grew up in white areas too. You know what I'm saying? And of course, white people, they were the ones who created the one drop rule, so they're gonna see everybody with a little bit of spice or a little as black, right? So you know, and then I moved to Atlanta. I moved to the black community when I was like 16. And then I was like kind of shocked. I don't know. I was seen as mixed by the black community. They could tell that like we're phenotypically different. And then, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, whoa, like different communities, like, you know how they're saying, oh, everyone's going to view you as mixed. But it's like a lot of people do view me as mixed. So it's like I started my whole journey. I was like, I don't want to base my identity based on other people defining it for me. Like I want to define my own identity. And the fact I like to live in reality, live in logic, like I'm a biracial person. So what does that mean? And then, you know, we find so much pushback around that. I'm like, why is there so much pushback around identifying as biracial? But, you know, that whole system of, oh, you got to pick a side, you're either black or white, or you got to erase like a whole part of yourself. Like that system's dying off. Like we can't keep going by that system, you know?
Yeah, but is it though dying off? Because I go into rooms where they ask you, what is your name? What is your, they say, you know, what is your age? What are your preferred pronouns? And what is your race?
It's not, it'll die off eventually, is what I'm saying. Because there's more, you know, mixed people are the majority. Like they're mixed people are the fastest growing minority group. So it's like, eventually it'll die off. Like it'll take
it'll die off eventually. But right now, yeah, it's pretty strong, but it'll die off eventually. Like the old system of how we think. So new systems are always being put in place, and the old systems always dying out. When it's no longer, it's not benefiting to us. It's just old and outdated, and we got to update our system, basically, right?
Can I ask you guys a question based on your experiences in life?
Can you hold on? Spicy says, if you don't like being black, just say that. No one's saying that.
I'm not block her.
Yeah, that's a really asshole comment to say. No one's saying that.
Well, up above it says, up above
y'all
she
don't-
said, or they said, we're black, they see us as black. And then Exploring said, let's say they give us reparations, would y'all identify as black? She said exactly.
Well, here's the thing: we are black. Like me, like
People were enslaved too.
Wait, hang on.
well, yeah.
We're black, you tell us we're not black. If we say we're black, you tell us we're not black because we're not black enough. And my
And that's
hair
kind of
isn't black. It's like,
I
what
was
the
actually
fuck?
going to ask you guys about this. Like, if I do something, well, if I do something cool, black people will be like, you're black. But if I do something where I step away, like I deviate from the lockstep of whatever narrative or whatever, then black people are like, oh, that's that white or YT people shit. Or like, they'll be like, oh, you're not, like, you're not black, you're fucking mixed. And conversely, like, I've seen white people be like, or I'm sorry, YT people be like, Obama's not black, he's mixed because he was president, right? But before, like in the campaign, they were like, oh, look at this black guy. Like, I feel like it's conditional based on my behavior. And
So I'm curious.
It is conditional based on your behavior. That is a good way to put it.
I'm curious if anyone has experienced, because I'm really curious if anyone has experienced this. Like when you see like a darker skinned black person that's like nerdy and doing stuff that's like outside of the stereotype. I've noticed that there's been, and not all the time, but I've noticed that there's been this trend of like, oh look, he's breaking stereotypes. He's interesting. And if you see someone biracial do it, they just want to be white.
It also
Like,
depends on the time of the year.
Yeah.
Because in the summer, I'm a lot darker. Sorry, go ahead.
Because
That is true.
yeah, it just seems weird.
Yeah. Look at Howard Johnson from Killswitch Engage and formerly of Blood Has Been Shed. He's one of the best like metal singers in the game, right? And he like people are like, well, look at this. This is so rare that there's a black guy who sings metal. But like we've been involved in metal from the jump, and we've been involved in punk from the jump. Bad Brains, Death is another like one of the earliest hardcore punk bands on the East Coast. But like I think a lot of it has to do with how society sort of stereotypes us, right? Like we can play jazz, but we can't play black metal, even though like we've been playing black metal forever.
They created it in the first place.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe, yeah, she's the first person I believe who created. Yeah, but no, I think there's just validity with what he's saying. Is all I'm trying to say.
I think it's a class thing, because I think that's the reason why they created Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or something like that. Was to kind of show the differences. It's sort of like I hope no one finds this offensive, but you have like white trash, stereotypical stuff, and redneck, but you wouldn't confuse that with an uptown, Upper East Side Caucasian person from Manhattan, because that's like a whole different class system. Then you have ghetto black fabulous. Then you have in the black community, but then you have upper middle class, like, and I think it's really all based on movies, and I think the Gen Z, I think they don't really pick up on that. I think like if you're from like before Gen Z, like I think you could kind of like know why that there are probably all these differences. So I just look at it as a class thing. I don't really necessarily see it as a black versus white thing, but a lot of people do view it that way, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think that class and race have been. Go ahead, my bad.
No. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I was going to say that race and class are almost like symbiotic, especially in America, right? Because this class system was absolutely based on the idea of white supremacy. So the further away you were from whiteness, the more likely you were to be on the lower echelons of like the socioeconomic spectrum. And that was done by design. It's why like Southern white women would have parasols so that they could retain the whiteness of their skin. Like,
So what do you think of what do you think of
Yeah.
this? Because
True.
I thought that my grandmother was a self-hating white woman because I was like 8 years old and I remember asking her, I was like, "Grandmother, are you white?" And she was like, "No, I'm black." And I later found out that she is actually black. She's very, very fair. So I'm actually like, so my family's been in America since Jefferson pretty much purchased Louisiana. But
Oh wow.
my mom is biracial. She married a biracial guy. My grandmother is also biracial. So I didn't know that. I thought she was white. But when she passed away, I got to talk to her older sister, and I asked her why didn't she identify as white if she was biracial? Like she's very, very fair. And she
She
basically said
passed.
that colorism back then doesn't work the way colorism works now. So when people talk about like biracial privilege and this, that, or the other, like that wasn't a thing back then. So my grandmother, in my nan's words, she said they were all treated the same. You know, there's the stereotypical, light skinned person was inside and outside. Those are stereotypes for a reason, and sometimes those stereotypes were implemented and sometimes they weren't, So my grandmother was, alive in like the 40s, so that's not slavery, but she, lived right across from my grandfather, who was darker skinned. She lived the same experience. People were throwing stuff at her house and treating her like crap. And then when she hit, the 60s or so, she's in her 20s, all of a sudden the rules changed and they started accepting her into the community. And for her personally, she was like, hell no, that ain't right. You treated me like this my entire life and now you think I'm one of you. That's not how that works. So when I asked her as a kid, I asked her, are you white? And she was like, nah. And she was, called self hating. And the neighbors called her self hating. And other members of the family called her, self hating.
Wow.
But
No,
she is
that she
black.
sounds based as fuck. What? That's
Right?
awesome. She's
Right
like, no,
on.
you rejected me. I don't want to be a part of that. Like, no, that's awesome. Hell yeah.
So
Hells
she is
yeah.
black. And, her kids are basically black. I mean, they're biracial. My mom is, she looks like me. I'm pretty light, but, I'm not white. But
So
yeah, I mean,
I'm light but not white.
yeah,
I was
I'm
gonna
light, but
ask
I'm not
about.
white. It
That's
is what it
good.
is.
That's good. We're blight.
I,
That's
But
all.
there,
I
but
was
there
gonna ask
are,
about
It's
this.
yeah,
crazy.
there are
It's
discriminations
crazy. It's
for
crazy
Like
being
that
my.
you use the
biracial.
term self-hating because last time that I came live on here, we actually talked about my mother, and she is probably like the poster child of a self-hating Native American woman. My mother will tell you all day up and down. So she's the one that I get my Native and my Romanian from. So she will tell you all day up and down that she's black. So the issue is me and her have gotten fights about it. And it's like it's like beating a dead horse. You know what I mean? Like there's no point in having the conversation anymore. And I had mentioned last time that the issue is that my mother has like a form of internalized racism because she so badly wants to be a black woman. For her to give birth to a quote unquote black child, and I ended up being a girl. You see what I'm saying? So that
Mm,
caused a lot of issues within itself as well because not only does she hate the fact that she's not black, she gave birth to a child that looks black that happened to be female.
Oh wow.
So that caused a lot of like hatred with her towards me because I was something
mm.
that she couldn't be.
Mm, my God.
Yeah.
So you got like a
It
whole
was.
a whole different end of the spectrum there. I mean, my grandmother hated and called self-hating because she chose to identify as a biracial black woman, which is what she is. And then you got someone who's trying to identify as something that she's just literally not.
Mm.
And we'll
Mm-hmm.
fight to the death about it.
Damn.
Hmm.
Was your
Yeah, that's
grandmother
crazy.
what was her sister as white as she was, or was she just the only
Yep,
sibling? Oh wow.
yep. They have different dads though, but
Okay.
they both She looks light though because her mom is very, very, very light skinned as well. So she's about our shade. So she was light skinned, and then she married a white guy, and they ran a general store. And yeah, and so my grandmother was very, very light.
So she was probably like a quadroon or something like that.
I wanted to say quadroon earlier, and I didn't want to be insensitive.
Oh, no, it's okay. I got a long line of quadroons on my mother's side.
We're mixed.
So
We can say it.
it's totally fine.
I love the word quadroon. It's one of my favorites. It's so good.
So I got a story I want to tell about my grandfather. So my grandfather, they marked him as a mulatto. I don't think it was my grandfather. I think somebody in my family, I'm not sure who, but I know that they were a mulatto and they were born like as a slave and they ended up like buying their freedom or whatever, right? So that's one story I know. Like I don't really know about their life or anything, but I know about my grandfather. My grandfather, right? He was very successful. He was a very light skinned, like fair. I got mulattoes in my family. Like they were very fair skinned, right? And he was very successful. Like he had a car. Like he had a town named after him, like in the South, in Georgia or whatever. And my mom. Guess what happened to him? He got shot and killed in front of his 8 kids by like a. And you know what? Growing up, I thought that it was a racist white man. I was like, oh my God, that's due to racism. And then guess what my mom said? She was like, no, it was a black man. And they killed him because they were jealous of him. So, because she got, because she watched her dad die, like right in front of him or whatever. And she was like, it was out of jealousy. And then I was like, there's no way. Like, I did not believe that. And then, I go into the black community. That's a very common thing, like the crabs in the bucket kind of mentality where people kill each other out of like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, damn, that happened to my grandfather. Like he was very successful and he had a lot going on for himself and he got killed within his own community in front of his kids. And he was light skinned too. And I was like, I can't believe that, it was another black person that did that to him. Like it was, but I see that happen to this day. It still happens that, black people killing each other out of jealousy. And it's like, it happens to rappers a lot too. They can't even go in their hometown because they'll get shot. And just like a lot of like Young Dolph and all these people get shot and killed. And it breaks my heart. It honestly breaks my freaking heart so much.
Well, that's why I asked, are they really all black then? Because, why, because we're saying that everyone is black. And someone from India had asked us on Clubhouse, if everyone's all black, why is there a light skin versus dark skin in the African American community? Forget about people who are actually biracial, but generations of people who are monoracially mixed, they've always been like looked down upon and also praised upon, like in Ebony magazine, and so if you dress too good and you smell nice, you're like, oh, you're just trying to be light skinned. And it's like
the light skin still.
Well, that's a really good point. That's
Actually,
really
it is, and it's really unkind at the end of the day because it's like it's like there's this belief that like we have to assimilate, and then when we assimilate, we're not them, so we don't fit in.
I think
I feel like we should get the same privileges then. Why can't we speak on issues? And they have like these articulate long essays and attitudes and long videos and talking points about why we can't speak on certain things. But you want us to identify with you.
We have to remember.
It's like, are we you or are we not you?
Yeah.
Like if we're different, then we need our own community. Then
I think that we're our own people. I honestly believe that because I always look at us like we're honey mustard. You know what I'm saying? You got honey and you got mustard, and you put them together and you create a whole new thing. It's honey mustard. It's not honey no more. Yeah. It's not mustard. It's honey mustard.
You got
Sure.
You got your peanut butter and my chocolate. You got your chocolate and my peanut butter.
Is that hazelnut or something?
It's a whole thing.
I love honey mustard.
There's a class dynamic.
And stay in your lane. Like it's like I'm in my lane. I want to be in my lane now. That's how I feel.
Historically speaking, though, there's a class and economic dynamic here, right? So like the divisions between light skin and dark skin was created by the white supremacists in order to sow division, in order to better like quell any potential mutinies, right? Like that was a huge thing.
It was.
But also we have to we do also have to remember that a lot of times, like there were, like I can't tell you guys my last name, but I'm a direct male line descendant of a Confederate general because he was, you know, obviously he had relations, let's say, even though it's more like SA, with his slaves. Now, granted, after the war, this specific general worked to like help black people because he wasn't cool with the idea of owning black people, even though he did. I don't know. It gets muddy, right? Like it gets very weird in that area. But there was this thing where there were. How do I put this? Like light-skinned black people were considered more human. Like George Washington even had this whole idea that like he wrote this whole paper about how he thought that like the fairer-skinned black person was more closer to human because they were closer in appearance or phenotype rather to like the white person. And so there was that social outcome of that. However, one of the things that people don't really take into account is that Africa has like the widest diversity of phenotypes on the planet, right? Like you get light-skinned people, dark-skinned people. I'm 78% African descendant. I have a younger brother who I'm adopted, so remember that, but I have a younger brother who's about 30% African descendant. If you look at us, you would think I was the one that was 30% African descendant because I am lighter skinned, I have lighter eyes. He is much darker skinned than I am, and he has darker eyes. I have the curlier hair, but his hair is like jet black, whereas mine is like this weird red brown mixture. So like phenotype absolutely played a part, but there's also that class distinction, right? And so like when we look at in our economy especially, I remember Tyra Banks did this whole thing where she was talking about how she had to make herself look more YT in order to be more successful in her career. There is that because we have those Eurocentric beauty standards. When we look at people's names, like I have a very white name. It's just what it is. I can't tell you that name, but it's a very white first and last name. And so because of that, I've been more successful in my career, I believe. Also, I have this accent that isn't typically considered. Like there's a lot of these other variables that have to come into play. But at the end of the day, when I'm walking down the street and a cop stops me, they're not going to say, oh, that's a guy with a white name. That's a guy with a good accent. They're going to think that's a black guy. And I'm going to fuck with that guy.
Like we all have similar experiences, and I know that we are, you know, we're all like we have black in us, so we're black. I get it. But the thing about it is I said it once and I'll say it again. You know, the thing about that is, yeah, all that stuff is made up. Like, and I even mentioned it before, money is made up, but it has real life consequences on your life.
Yep.
Money is a made up construct, but go ahead and try and live in this society without some money and see what's gonna happen. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. You know, it's like my all this stuff about race, this white supremacy, it's all there. But the bottom line is you can't tell me I'm not biracial. You can't tell me that my biracial experiences don't exist. You can't tell me that I don't exist. You know,
sure,
I'm experiencing real life consequences, you know, for this. I'm being silenced in my own community. You know, I got robbed for the 4th time because they think I have some kind of privilege and it's okay to rob me. You know,
or they think because you're lighter skinned that you're less likely to fight or you're less aggressive because that's also a long-standing white supremacist trope. Or you're more effeminate.
And keep in mind, I only have 2 people on this earth that I can literally call my family. One of them robs me, and the other one is just, well, they really are family. But the other one is like robbing me. You know,
I mean, family, bro. I won't rob you.
It's just wild. Like it's like if you needed soap or anything, I would have given it to you. You don't gotta steal. Like I'm not mad because it's like I don't really care. What I'm upset about is why steal. You know, you could have just asked. Like it's terrifying to wake up in the morning. Everything's trashed up in my house. The thing's cut up to like 55 degrees, and it's freezing. The door's wide open. You know, it's like, why? Why? For the 4th time now. You know, and then I get a call saying, oh, well, you got privilege and she doesn't.
What?
You know, like what?
See, that's such a double-edged sword though, because
you got privilege and she doesn't. You'll get it back. It's just this equipment. It's just so
Oh,
That's
you
not
live
how
in a
that
safe
works.
apartment.
I want to
You
talk
live in a
about,
safe
okay,
apartment. It's not that bad if your door's
when
open.
it came to us, like in the past being like the buffer class and then like us being used against like for their agendas and stuff. So it's like that's the last thing I freaking want for us to be used by anybody anymore. Because that's historically, like, people are always like kind of throwing that in our face, like, oh, you are used by white supremacy as a buffer class, as this, to like, and it's like, well, nowadays it's like, no, we refuse to be used by anybody, by anything. Okay, that's
But
the last thing we want. If we reclaim our identity and we have identity for ourselves and not let other people dictate our identity, and that identity comes with terms and conditions, or that acceptance comes with terms and conditions, because that's how we got used. We were like, oh, we'll accept you, but you have to do this and this and this and this and this for that acceptance. So it's like there's terms and conditions, and then that's how they weaponize us. So it's like we refuse to be used anymore. Like, it's not, no, if we're not looking for acceptance, well, we won't be used anymore by anybody or any community. So, but yeah, go ahead,
but also,
Riley. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say, like, I can't speak to all of your experiences, but I'm originally from the South Side of Chicago, and when I was there, I was also a lot more light skinned, and my hair was a lot more red, and so I got the worst of both worlds. Where when I was there, I got beat up for being quote unquote too whitey, and then when I got adopted and moved into a predominantly white area, I had to fight just because I was darker than everyone else, and then like, whenever like I'm walking around, let's say I'm in a predominantly white area, like people look at me like I'm a villain, like I'm gonna rob them, and I'm just like going to work or getting a sandwich. Or when I go visit my family on the west side of Chicago, and then people look at me like I'm an easy target, right? Because they're like, oh, look at this white boy over here. Like, I often get the worst of both worlds, and at the end of the day, I'm like, bro, I'm just a person, and I'm just trying to live. Like, I don't care about any of like the thing. I mean, I don't know. It's very frustrating.
Like,
It's,
like I didn't even have it.
People tell us all day, race don't matter, it doesn't matter. But it's like, this is our experience. Like, we get divorced and we get treated based off of race. Like, we unfortunately do. Like you said, all of those experiences you just mentioned were based on race. So it's like, it's so messed up when they tell us race don't matter. That's like trying to erase as a way to dismiss our experiences in a way. You know what I'm saying? So
well, to say that like we have privilege,
like it doesn't even got to be dramatic or anything. Like, growing up, people were nice to me, black and white. Like, we were talking about how we all blended in. And then when I grew up, people didn't start attacking me. They just disappeared. My community disappeared. You know, my circles disappeared, partially because I was gay, partially for other reasons. But the point is, they all just went away. You know,
I never felt like I belonged to a community, to be honest.
I relate to that too.
Yeah, it's just everyone disappears, and it's like, my mom is like, I look back, my mom grew up alone in going to black churches and, hanging out, being cool, and then going home, and then no one want to do anything after.
Is that because she's the light
it's like y'all are supposed to be my family. Like, really, like, y'all are supposed to be like my family. It's like, and the way that we cope with it is we say, well, everyone in the black community is split up. Like, people don't stick together. And, and it's like, that's not necessarily true. Throughout my little adult life, I've been seeing black churches, black communities, black spaces, people uplifting black people, and then I go into the same space and yeah, I'm welcomed. I'm welcome to attend, but not as if I'm one of the crew. This is their time to shine. Don't get in the way of their spotlight. They need this. So for me, it's like, damn.
Like, you're welcome to attend, but not participate.
Yeah, almost as if I'm a guest and I'm not really a member of the community. I don't want to get in the way of, other people who have it much worse than me, apparently. And I understand that. I understand that perfectly well. I would like to go somewhere where I am welcomed. That's how I feel. And I mean, I think it's fair. And before, I was just kind of thinking, well, maybe, this is just what it is. I should just, accept, my put my head down and just go about my life and let everyone have their community. But I thought about it, like, I'm worried about what he wants and what she wants, but what do I want? Like, I want a community. I want to be, a place where I belong and stuff like that. Like, why not? I bleed along everybody else. I work the field like everybody else. I'm not privileged. I worked for everything I had. And I know that might seem kind of cliche, but I mean, you're talking to someone who lived on the street, in Houston off Fondren. I come straight from the hood.
you know, and then I've lived in suburbs, and then I lived on the street for 2 weeks. You know, I went to a gas station, cleaned myself off, asked for a job, and pulled myself up from there. I don't come from privilege. I worked for everything I have, you know, so to have
Amen.
somebody, you know, take my stuff, you know, because I don't need it in their mind is okay, I get it, but, you know, I don't hate them. They're my family. But at the same time, like, why do you have this built-in attitude that it's okay to take things from me? Why do you have a built-in mindset that I somewhat have it better off than you when I really don't? You know, I understand
I
that,
think
you know, there are people who might think that they're better than you, but I don't think I'm better than you. You think
it's a
I'm
lack
better
of
than
class consciousness. Honestly, it's people who don't like. I always have this problem when I go to the West Side where I'm like, why are you robbing people who are just as poor as you? There are people like in mansions, bro. There are billionaires out here. Why are we not taking a fight to these people? And we can do that through the legislature, right? Or, I mean, if you want to do it the other way, that's fine. But obviously, I can't openly endorse that. But I'm saying, like, it doesn't make sense while we attack people of our own class, people who are struggling just as much as we are, right? But, like,
Right.
and I guess
Makes sense.
Well, it hurts today because not only was I robbed, I got a call from her saying that she was lost. And I was like, well, you're lost. I was like, well, why
the
did you
person
leave
that
the
robbed you,
house? Yeah, she was. So this is my godmother. We're not blood related, but I see her like family, you know,
is,
and she
are there,
stayed with me
are there,
before.
Can I, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I didn't want to leave without saying goodbye. I'm going to drop.
Oh,
I followed everybody. I
Oh,
look forward.
Mouse.
Yeah,
thanks, darling.
I'm gonna,
I wanted to say real quick before you
yeah,
leave. I
yeah,
just wanted to talk about like centering ourselves because I was thinking about like when you first came into the space. You're like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to center myself when we first talked the last time. And I was
yeah.
like, no, this is a space where you can center yourself. You are meant to shine here. This is a space where it's all about you. Okay, make it all about you.
Okay,
Okay, so I just want you to know
I'm
that it's
trying.
okay to center yourself because we
I'm
have a
trying.
space to do that now.
I
Okay, so
appreciate
just realize that.
you. I
Uh
appreciate
huh.
everybody. It was so nice meeting you guys. It
Good
feels so good to
night.
be
Thanks,
Bye.
among my
darling.
people. I love you guys. I
I love
appreciate y'all. I
it.
hope to see you guys
Bye.
soon. Thank you. Have a good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Mwah.
bye,
Bye.
Miles.
Bye,
You too.
everybody.
Bye bye.
That's nice. Uh, but yeah, she's my godmother. Um, she's not like blood related, but she's someone that's close. You know, she robbed me in my teen years, and then I let it go, and then she's robbed me twice now. Once was a few days ago, and then this morning. And you know, the night before, you know, I do part time fast food, and then in the day I work with kids on the spectrum. But I moved to Florida, and they just don't pay enough. So
Oof.
that's pretty
I
much
used to
that.
live in Florida. I
Oh,
feel
you
Yeah.
that.
moved to Florida? You know the NAACP just put out a thing for
Travel
people of color
advisory.
going to Florida. hmm Sorry.
No
Yeah,
way.
it's
I'm
pretty
really.
bad.
Oh yeah.
That's
I think
crazy. They
that's
put out
just like
travel
fear
advisory?
mongering. I
Yep,
think
Yeah,
they
that's
sure
fear
do.
mongering.
I had a
Well, it's not the.
so I have a
Sorry,
client
go.
who moved to Florida, and I love this client, so I wanted to work with them, and I was like, I'll follow them to the ends of the earth. So I'm
Wow.
working with
That's
this
so tight.
kiddo, um, and yeah, I moved over, but the pay dropped, and I didn't know it would drop. So I went ahead and did part time because I got into a car accident, and I just want to pay it off quick. So it's not that deep, but I was doing my part time fast food, and she walks over because she's crashing at my place for a little bit until she can get on her feet. I told her that if she's going to stay for like 4 months, then, you know, just, you know, contribute to like the utilities. It's like what, $200 or something. So she only has to pay like 150. So easy. But she didn't want to work, and there's like this drama, and she like keeps acting like she's in the middle of a stroke and all this stuff, but I can tell that she's acting because she's fine. And she only does it when her headpiece is in her ear. So basically, she came for a sandwich the other night. I gave it to her. I thought everything was fine. And then, you know, I make it home, and I see that, you know, my shower curtain is like torn off the wall. And I'm just like, okay, like, there's like vomit in the sink, and she's like sitting there itching her head, and I'm like, okay, so maybe she's on drugs or something. I don't know. And I'm a little weirded out, but I told her, are you gonna clean all that up at some point? And she's like, oh, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. And I'm just like, why are we dramatic or whatever? And I see the headpieces in her ear, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so it looks bad, right? So I tell her, okay, well, we talk about it in the morning, and I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning, I get a call from her, and she's like, I'm lost. And I'm like, you're lost. I was like, okay, why'd you leave? Like, why'd you leave? Because it's a storm right now. And she's like, I just wanted some space to myself. I was like, okay, that's understandable. Do you need help? Are you, are you in trouble out there? She's like, I'm fine. And then she hangs up on me. So I'm like, okay, cool, she's fine. And then I get a call from my other family member, my goddaughter, and she basically tells me that basically she's bleeding, that I apparently threatened her, and and that she's being kicked out. And I was like,
So
we didn't
dramatic.
even I was like, we didn't even have this discussion about being kicked out. Like, it's not even like she said, it's not even like I said, if you want to go, go. Like, we didn't have this discussion. I gave her a burger, and, I asked her if she was going to, you know, fix the shower curtain that she tore off the wall because it's stuck on the wall. Like, I don't want to clean up after you. You're grown. You're older than me. You're supposed to be like a godmother, right? Like, it sounds crazy. So I'm like, okay, well, that never happened. And so I come out my room and I see that my whole house is trashed, right? Like there are like rubber bands all over the floor and like thrown all over the place. There's like rocks in my washing machine and dryer.
That's fucking crazy.
Is this person
That's
delusional?
fucked up.
Leaves,
That's
like dirt, like rock, like where'd
this
the
bitch
dirt
went
come
nuts.
from? Like I'm literally like in a horror film. Like I'm like, where'd the dirt come from? Like did you just like scoop dirt from outside and like where's this shit coming from? And I mean last night she had the earpiece in her ear talking about some, I'll fix it, I'll fix it, I'll fix it. And I'm like, okay. So I go into the bathroom and it's still on the floor. And there's vomit in the sink and there's like, shedded hair. Yeah, vomit in the sink, and there's like shedded hair on the thing or whatever. And I'm just like sitting here like, why? And I see that my soap is missing. My loofah's missing. My shower head is missing.
Did she do all of the drugs? Like it sounds like all of the drugs, like crack.
I didn't even know. I didn't know she did drugs. Like I was like, what's going on? Are you doing drugs now? Like what's happening? Like my soaps is missing, my loofah's missing, my Lysol and bleach wipes are missing, my broom is missing.
All this stuff.
I'm missing
they're
the lock.
okay. Jesus.
Yeah, I go to the kitchen. There's like, and she did this the other night, but I was tired and I went to sleep because I work 2 jobs. But basically, there was like potatoes and it was like covered by another pan. So I asked her to clean it up. I guess she covered it with another pan and now it's like rotten. And there are like, ants on the counter. And I see the burger that I made for her the other night just still in the wrapper and there are ants on it. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like you didn't even eat the burger. Like, I don't understand. I made it fresh off the boiler for you. Like, what are we doing, girl? And, the sink's overflowing, the water's running. That's a bill. My fridge is open. She raided my fridge. The only thing I have in there is like some creamer. It's weird. It's weird. Like, so she robbed my groceries. Yeah, she just like robbed my groceries. And the piece of resistance is my front door is open.
Oh my God.
Like wide open.
Can't be doing that.
And I'm like looking for my car keys and I see that the key to my apartment complex is missing. So she took my key. So I'm like sitting here like, okay, so this is pretty bad. And I know that she took my key because she's working and she wanted to do an overnight, so she probably took it. She's done it before. So I was like, okay, she was probably going to work overnight and then come back, but instead of coming back, she ran for the hills.
She has a job? Like, where does she work?
I kind of pushed her to get a job because I was like, if you're gonna stay here, then I need you to, like, you know what I mean, contribute to the utilities or whatever, you
The
know,
fact that you sounded
like,
so shook about her having a job.
yeah,
Well, you don't know if they're
like,
bringing dirt into the job.
like I do part time just
Oh, wait.
for whatever. So I found out that the part time at the gas station at the Circle K was gonna pay more than the fast food thing, so I was gonna swap over. So I recommended her go there. And so I was like, okay, cool. I can make the swap with you, and then we'll have more time to communicate, and then I can drive you instead of having you, walk. Like it would be good. So I was like, I got her in the door. It was fine. And then her check was supposed to come Thursday, which I guess she didn't want to pay it. So I guess maybe that's why this drama happened. But she could have just told me. Like, it's not that deep. But anyhow, I went ahead and closed my door or whatever. And then I get a call from my goddaughter again. And she goes, yeah, could you just put her stuff outside? And I was like, what do you mean, like outside? She's like, oh, like just in front of the door. I was like, in front of why? And she was basically saying, well, since she's saying that you kicked her out, she wants you to like put her stuff out, give her stuff. And I was like, but I didn't kick her out. She walked out and she has my key, like, and the door's wide open. Like, I don't understand. So come to find out, there's this woman at the steps, and she's looking at me and she's like, hi, are you Ramon? I was like, yeah, what's up? She was like, oh, yeah, hi, I'm her manager at the Circle K. And since since she's scared of you and you're kicking her out, I was wondering if you could bring her stuff down. And I was just like, are you serious?
This is a
Like, I was like,
liar.
I was just like, so I'm not threatening her. As you can see, she left the door open and she has my key. So if she wants to get her things, she's more than welcome to. She's like, yeah, well, she's terrified. I was like, where is she? I was like, look, where is she? So I walked over to her and she's just like sitting there, her eyes are red and, she's like crying. And I'm just like, hey, do you want to explain why you lied to this woman that I want to hire me? Do you want to explain why you lied to this woman, telling her that I kicked you out when you have my house key? And she was like, I don't have your house key. I was like, okay. So how do you want to handle this? She's like, just give me my stuff. I was like, okay. And where's the bleeding happening? She's like, just give me my stuff. And I was just like, okay.
Oh my God.
So I was like, this is dramatic because it's like, for me, it's like not even like the money or anything. It's just like, why are you stabbing me in the back? She's like, you have all this privilege or whatever, and you're sitting here, you know what I mean, like judging me for my little problems. And I'm just like, I'm not.
No, judging you for the things you did. You brought dirt in my house. What are you talking about?
I'm like, I'm not judging you at all. What did I tell you? Like, I'm not judging you.
You
I'm
should
just
be judging her. I mean,
I
this
should,
brought dirt into your house and destroyed everything.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not
Where do you
judging
draw
you.
the line for judgment at this point? That's the real question.
Like she's just like, oh, well, you got like your privilege or whatever. Like I was just like, and what about my home? She's just like, oh, well, you got like your privilege. You'll just hire somebody and fix it or something. I was like, I'm not made of money. I was just
not
like,
what.
like you see me
That's so
clean my
frustrating.
own house every day. Like every
That's
day
not
that
what
you
privilege
live.
means when we talk
I
about it,
remember
though.
saying, like some, like I don't get it. Like and she would do things like with the headpiece in her ear, like she would suddenly start limping with the headpiece in her ear, or she'd be like, "Oh, want me to get your plate and bring it to the kitchen?" And I was just like, "I want you to pick up after yourself." I don't want you to pick up after me. You know, I'll bring my own plates and stuff around there. You know, I don't get it. But I didn't know why it got so dramatic, you know. Um,
I'm gonna guess drugs and alcohol, but that's just based on my experience of
I
doing
think that
drugs and alcohol.
that's what I think it is. I think that she just like does pills or something out of nowhere and then just goes crazy out of nowhere.
I mean,
But it's
Florida is
weird.
renowned for like hillbilly heroin. Like that's a whole fucking thing down there. Because I used to live in like Bradenton and all that shit, and like that's a massive area for that type of shit.
So I
Look,
told
I
her, I
live
was
in
like,
Missouri, and it's meth capital over here where I live at. I can't walk outside without seeing somebody tweaking. It's stupid.
It is
I
stupid.
tried that. I tried it once. I don't understand the appeal. I don't get it. It's like if it's like the whisper. No, meth.
I was like, I'll get you your stuff.
Shit.
I was like, I'll get you your stuff, and you know, we can talk about it later. I walked up to get my stuff or whatever, and when I walked up to get my stuff, my goddaughter called and was like, "Alrighty, so how'd it go? Are you scared?" I was like, "I'm not scared." I was like, you know, I do want to be compensated for the time, though. You know what I mean? Like, if she, you know, wants to, like, you know, pay towards that, that would be pretty beneficial. You know, if she actually loves me, you know, that would be useful instead of assuming I have some kind of privilege that's going to magically clean up my house for me. You know, and then I
Again,
she
not how
called
privilege
me.
works, but yeah.
She called me, and then she was like, I was like, "Are you gonna help me or whatever?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll come back to tonight or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So
That
she
sounds like a
drove off.
threat. I would take that as a threat, bro.
Yeah, like she drove off, and I'm just like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll see you tonight, whatever." And then I got a call from my goddaughter at like 4 o'clock today, telling me that she went to the hospital and like she's in the psych ward or something now, or something like that. And I'm just kind of like, okay. So I mean, you know, she was chill and robbed me and ran away, and then she trashed my house and robbed me. And then I'm like, okay, and she robbed my mom twice. So I'm just kind of like, okay, so this is kind of weird. So I'm thinking like maybe she has like this alter ego, like Jekyll Hyde, like she just like turns like she sees like some kind of bad signal and like pops pills or something, and then just like
Yeah.
miraculously like transforms. It's weird. But whatever the case is, you know, I kind of feel betrayed, you know, and I'm kind of like, damn, like this is my community, I guess, you know, like, you know, I came across this live a while ago and I was just like, no, I'm a part of the Black community. Like, what do you mean? But I'm kind of like, am I? Am I? Or have I just kind of accepted that I'm just a blob, you know,
Well,
that I've just kind of accepted it.
I feel like that's kind of an outlier, right? Like the majority of us black people and mixed people aren't going to do that to you or anybody, right? Like
Yeah, that's crazy.
that's an anomaly. Yeah.
I mean, this is a rare weirdo like that you ended up with. You
Yeah.
know? No one
I feel like she
deserves
just
it.
needed an excuse to be shady towards you, so that was the first thing she felt like she could use because she knew it would trigger you.
Well, it didn't work.
If you don't mind me asking, if you're comfortable sharing, what part of Florida are you on? The East Coast or West Coast or South? I guess.
I guess it would be the North, really. I guess it would be.
Okay.
Which way is West? I don't know. I'm from Texas, but I came here.
Imagine West.
Yeah.
Is left.
You relocated to. Yeah, left is west. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, are y'all are all y'all in my Discord? Are all y'all in my Discord? So I might close the stream soon, but we can still all talk and stuff in the Discord too.
If you can send me a link, because I'm definitely not.
Y'all, I'm gonna message everybody a link, and then we're all gonna just be kicking it in the Discord, and I'm gonna send everybody who want to join the Discord. Does anybody?
Sure.
I need to join.
You need to join, baby.
I was gonna say, in Chicago,
I got you.
we don't have boiled peanuts.
Oh, look, go check out the petition too. We have a petition in the bio that is being pushed that's about like, you know, affirming the biracial identity. So if you guys want to, I forgot to mention it. Damn it, I was supposed to promote it. but it's okay. Check out that petition. It's really interesting. So read that petition about affirming biracial identity, and there's a lot of cool things out there. But I'm going to, yes, the Discord is amazing. Yes, girl, thank you. So, okay, everybody add me, and then I'm gonna message everybody the link to the Discord. Okay.
Wait, which one are you? Which one are you?
And
Hang
I'm
on.
gonna go in the Discord. I'm gonna go be talking in the Discord because I gotta do
Is this
something with my
House
phone
of?
real fast. Yeah, I'm gonna message you. Add me on here. Follow me, and then I'm gonna message you. I'm gonna message everybody the link. Seeing in the dark. Let me see. I gotta follow you. I'll make sure I
I'm just
follow
gonna
everybody.
follow everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow everybody. Let me try to.
'Cause I did have a
stupid
question about
thing.
my kid. If
Oh
anybody would be
yeah.
open to talking about that.
About what?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
My kid. It's yeah. Well, we could talk about it in the Discord. It's cool.
Yeah, sure.
We'll talk about it in the Discord. So everybody
Right.
follow me in the Discord, and I already signed the petition. Perfect. Awesome. Check out the petition, everybody. And I'm gonna go to bed after this at 3:30 a.m. Yes, I'll talk to. She's in the Discord. So, all right, I'm gonna meet y'all in the Discord. All right, bye, y'all. Love you guys. Love you.
Bye.
Love you.